It's basically raining every afternoon now because it's so hot outside.
And they're coming, baby.
And
they're coming for you. They're coming to get you.
When it rains every afternoon, it creates water and standing water,
right.
And that's when the mosquitoes go crazy.
Oh, they love it.
And every rain, you could. It's
they
like
just
clockwork.
get in there and they procreate crazy.
In a week of this mosquito bomb.
Honestly, I don't know what they do in there, but I know that little baby mosquitoes come out of there. And then there was one in my bedroom last night.
Oh, yeah.
I've never been more tempted to go get my portable mosquito Nick system and just set it up in my bedroom. I was so damn mad.
Yeah, blast it in there.
Just blast it everywhere.
And they have portable systems. You can find them at TommyDan.com or the Mosquito Nix website, but they have the full house backyard system that I have.
BDMs only. A big dick millionaire to get the big system.
Well, they'll come and install basically a big drum of organic mosquito repellent.
You've heard us before, perfectly fine.
It's perfectly fine.
It's perfectly fine.
And by perfectly fine, I mean it breaks down in 10 seconds. It doesn't leave like some sort of harsh chemical in your backyard. It's completely organic.
You don't even notice it.
But what it does, it mists your backyard.
These tiny little high-pressure hoses.
Yeah, and then that keeps the mosquitoes away. And it mists it during like high mosquito hours.
Or you have a remote, like what you do before you're grilling.
Yeah.
You know, we make jokes, but before he goes out there by his grilling, a little toot of the Mosquito Nix remote.
It's an app on my phone now. It started with a remote. Now they have the Wi-Fi app. I could do it from here. I
have it ready for when you pull in your driveway.
I could toot my Mosquito Nix. Great for...
Hold on. I give you a lot of shit. But I just got to say, that is Big Dick Millionaire. If they're ever, when you're driving in your truck, the Trump truck, and you just hit the app and you go, let's have that ready. And then you walk into your backyard, take all your clothes off, and jump in your pool. No mosquito.
Everything should be controlled through an app. Like a precision garage door, I can open and close my garage door through an app.
Don't stop talking about apps. And they'll start talking about our app.
Anyway,
need some help.
And I never have to worry about mosquitoes in my backyard. My son, Max, my youngest, he's allergic to mosquitoes. Gets these giant welts.
I used to get those too.
And I could just let them roam free in the backyard without worrying about mosquitoes. And if you want to give them a call, tell them you're a Tom and Dan listener. You'll get a percentage off.
And this is all across the state of Florida. I mean, we've had people in Miami, Jacksonville. We've had St. Augustine. We've had a bunch of listeners that will call and sing our praises. Do it, man, and get this system. We think you'll like it.
Tell them Tom and Dan sent you. It's MosquitoNix.com.
Hey, Tom, Dan, and Sam.
I think we can all agree that this guy naturally just has the best cartoon voice of any character that calls our show.
Hey, Tom, Dan, and Sam. Question for Tom. What was his best grift? What was his worst grift? And what grift gained the greatest value?
I know one that I could throw on the list if you're looking for suggestions. Your very first ski boat was quite the victory. You got so much out of that, dude, and you paid literally nothing for that boat.
Now, that's not technically a grift. That's a radio listener hearing me talk about wanting boats.
You used his affection for your radio.
That is a grift. That is a grift.
That's my producer saying that. I trust her.
I look at it like I helped fulfill that man's dream of
having a celebrity ride,
or selling Drunky the Bear his boat.
Normally I don't know. Today that
did I ever tell you the weird transaction of that?
Was this the person that had the grubs and the
possum?
The possum.
No, that was a hot tub thing.
Okay.
That was I was trying to find a hot tub, and then they falsely represented the quality of the hot tub they were giving away.
I'm familiar with that.
Anyway,
you lied to me.
My first boat.
The Skeet. Is that what you named your first boat? Was called the Skeet.
I talked about wanting a boat or whatever. Then I got an email from a radio listener saying, "Hey, me and my brother own a boat."
That's right. Didn't his brother put up a little like, "Hey, what the F are you doing?"
Okay.
And he's like, "No." Okay.
Yeah. So then, it's funny. He lived on Lake Howell, so right across the street from where I live.
No
basically.
way, man.
So anyway, and it was an Indian dude, and
whoa, what do you mean by that?
His Indian
Native
brother,
American.
No. I mean actual from India.
Oh,
Indian.
okay. Is that how it works?
And he listened to the Monsters.
I know. Yeah, it was odd. But that was back in the day when there wasn't podcasts or anything. It was just the only talk radio was one thing.
Have, you know.
That's what I was. But there's nothing else.
There's nothing else to listen to, my friend.
So anyway, he emailed me and said, "Hey, I'm selling this boat.
Hold on,
me and my brothers."
Not being racist, but I have never seen someone from India on a ski boat. I'm just throwing that out there. Never seen that.
It's mostly just white dudes. Right?
It is mostly just white dudes.
Now everybody has ski boats.
I'm not saying they don't, but I'm just saying I have never been out on a ski boat and seen other Indian families out there enjoying it. Also, never seen other Indian families roller skating. But those are just observations I've made.
If you go to Winter Park chain of lakes, they're all rich.
Well, they're going to be nicer boats than yours.
The St. John's River, that's for the poor whites.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
we stick to our poor rivers.
So he tells me, "Hey, I got this boat. It's for me and my brothers. I'll sell to you for $3,000." And so that was like, oh man, like,
oh my,
so, and I'm talking. This was 2007 or 8, something like that. Okay, so I'm poor. Me and Crystal are poor. Right? Mm-hmm. And we don't have $3,000.
I mean, walk me through the dreaming you're doing every afternoon. You go back, you got your cigarettes, you open up your laptop, you know, and you're dreaming of this boat, right? You're thinking of
a laptop.
Okay, you're
turn on the gateway.
But you did have cigarettes.
Yeah.
You're smoking your cigarettes in your living room, in the house, and you're poofing it everywhere, and you're making chicken kitchen. And
I lived in Deltona at this time.
And were you like, baby, we got to do whatever we can do we got to get this boat.
Yes. Okay. Well,
this is a sweet deal.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's push these these counterparts DVDs.
Did you have a hot tub?
That was pre-hot tub because my dream.
It was boat before hot tub.
My dream.
Love. Hot tub before boat. Never float.
My dream once I got to Deltona, I was like, now I'm super rich. I need a hot tub and a boat.
Hot tub and a boat.
I got a pool. I have a pool. This is my dream come true.
Yeah.
Like I'm
hot tub, boat, and the last part, get my wife breast augmentation.
I mean, this is real life.
Right? That's what you do.
Lifestyles of the rich and famous.
If you're a Florida rich man, you go, hold on, it'll sound better. Like
I'm not joking.
I have a hot tub, I have a ski boat, and my wife has a very affordable breast augmentation.
I literally thought I can't show people how I live because they're going to start hating on me because how rich and famous I am.
The fire's got a fire pit. You got a fire pit.
Anyway, so
don't put that on camera, baby. They'll know how to get into our dwelling.
I didn't have $3,000.
So you were in fact not rich.
So you borrowed $3,000.
Yes.
From Super Mario Ken.
No, from my sister.
Your sister owned that ski boat?
She was richer than I was.
Hold on a second. This is a new story. I've never known this to be true. I've never been told the tale.
Have you paid her back?
What do you think?
That's a whole. I have to ask her because I started making payments at one point. Anyway, so here's the problem though. So I get. I can't believe I never told the story.
Do you have Jen's number?
No, I do not.
I would look. I don't want to blow up your spot this early on a Friday, but I do want to know how that shook out.
We could call her.
What?
This is all true.
Do a chatting with the masters with your sister.
I think we have maybe done,
or
maybe you said, "Nah, she don't want to do it."
I need to hear some stories.
Because I feel like I'm exploding.
Can we?
I was asking. I already asked my mom to do this '80s mom bit.
Can we call her today on the Friday Free Show?
Yeah,
I know we're recording. Look, I don't even care anymore. When we record is where we record the show.
Yeah.
But yeah, we should. That's a new story, dude. I don't believe you have ever told that.
He's like, it's not done.
It's not done. So then I go to the guys.
So you've borrowed money from your sister. Now you're going to this guy's house.
I borrowed $3,000, and so she
cash.
Yes, cash. Yeah. This is a cash deal because
you got your gun on you.
No.
Too big of a purchase, right? That's what I would think too. You're going to get murdered. If you're going to get murdered, you're going to get murdered over a dartboard.
Well, it's also not a stranger, right? It's a listener.
Yeah. I always trust listeners. I'll follow them the hell.
Yeah, he really is. That's the way the equation works. It's Dan follows Tom. It's Tom follows listeners.
Yeah. If you emailed me, I was like, there's no way you're killing me. Plus, I'm going to...
documentation,
yeah.
And it's not like I know when my life's in danger for the most part.
Just like Steven Seagal had.
I'm going to some nice nice ass lake house off Lake Howell. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I used to repo cars, and then we used to go into place on Silver Star. Like, they told me, like, no one even goes in there at night. Like, not even the cops.
Right.
Anyway, so I show up at the guy's house, and I walk around, and...
What are you, just walking around looking at them, like, kicking them, banging on the windows?
The boat's on a boat lift in the back of the house, right? And then, so I go there, and then his brother, because the listener is excited to meet me, Drunk at the Bear. I bring I
Did you
some
go
stickers.
in the suit, the bear suit?
No,
I feel like, did you show up with, like, Counterparts DVD and a six-pack of Mike's Hard Lemonade? Like, you're going there for
I brought an autographed Monsters promo shot.
You know what? I do
which
remember.
I did fake everybody's autograph, by the way.
No, you would ask me, because I would do it.
Yeah. And everybody else, I just faked their autograph.
Sometimes I'd fake other people, too. I think I do Savannah now and again. I do a Bubba.
Anyway, so I you know, to sweeten the deal, because
I think I remember this part. So, I remember the autograph for sure.
But then the brother shows up, and the brother's not a listener, and I don't like that because now I have no leverage now. Because now
and he's like, "Who the hell is this guy?"
He's boat blocking.
He's like, "What'd you agree upon?"
Yeah, he is boat blocking.
Yeah.
And so then we go.
This is a quality story that should have been on the Friday Free Show.
Now he doesn't even have this boat for sale. It's not like he's selling this on Craigslist.
He's only selling
it to me.
He's only offering this boat to you to get you to be his friend.
Yes, that's what happened.
I see it.
And so since he didn't put it up in the open market, he doesn't know what I've been looking for boats, and this is
you found the edge.
Half the price.
You found the edge
of
this
boats.
is where it started. This is where his gambling addiction started. When he got that boat for such a cheap price, he was like, "My God, I found my path. I have found my way."
And I'm not joking. All boats of similar year and quality are $10,000.
Yeah, and Sam,
wow,
were you ever on this boat?
No, I've never been on any of Tom's
It was
boats.
a fantastic boat. Let me just tell you, what he paid and what it offered, and it was a great boat.
It lasted for 10 years.
Unkillable boat.
Yeah.
Always started up.
It was 18 and a half foot bow rider, bayliner, Capri,
little bayliner,
185 inboard outboard,
great little boat.
That I'd have to start with some Coca-Cola every once in a while.
It would start.
You
just do that move where you loosen and then you pull the connectors off and you pour the Coke on there and you bang on it a little bit until the white crud falls off.
It didn't kill anyone. That's something. Anyway, so then the brother shows up, and then now. I see both brothers, like, I'm inside the boat now looking through all the stuff.
It's
like,
already yours. It's already your boat.
And now I'm just like, and now
you're daydreaming about it.
Were you by yourself? Did you bring your wife?
No, I'm by myself.
Okay.
But when he would do these, occasionally, I don't remember this one, but occasionally you would text me and be like, "Just so you know, I'm out of place." It's like almost like he's like a marker food. If you were
10 minutes away, always.
Yeah. Well, like, he's disappeared. Well, he called me. He said he was out of place.
No, you would say, you'd be like, "I'm out looking at a boat," you know, like, or you'd say like, I'm in Lady Lake getting boogie boards or something.
So anyway, I'm in the boat. And I'm like you said,
You're daydreaming.
Like, this, I can't believe. I'm like $3,000.
Yeah. You're like the woman that has on the wedding gown that fits perfectly. The price doesn't even matter. She's just twirling in the mirror.
And I was about to give the guy $3,000 and be like, "I'll drive it away from here, and I'll figure out how to get it out."
It doesn't matter. I'll live on it. This is my new life.
So I hear the brothers arguing in the back, like they're talking.
Oh my God! One pulls out a scimitar.
So
you're like, "Oh, it's a family argument."
So I'm like, "Oh, this ain't good," because the non-listener is mad that he's like $3,000.
What'd you tell him?
Getting ripped off.
Now this is at the time where smartphones were new, and I think that it was hard to look up like the market price of this particular boat on the fly, as it is now.
I mean, now you can literally take Google a picture of it with your phone, and your phone knows I'm price shopping it now.
Yeah. Or you could just search the year and make and model of the boat and see what others are going to. And if they did that, they would have noticed that all other boats are going for between $10,000 and $13,000, like that range. And he's selling me this thing for $3,000. So then the listener brother comes back on the dock, and then he's like, "Hey, my brother's mad that I told you that I would give this to you for $3,000. He said he'd do it, but for $4,500." right?
Okay.
So now I'm like, I only brought 3,000.
And I borrowed that from my sister.
I was like, asking can I borrow it? I owe you.
So I borrowed 3 from my sister. Can I borrow 1,500 from you and then be on a payment plan?
Oh my God.
So then I'm like, let me make some calls. So I go back
some
to my
calls.
truck.
Hey, hold on.
And he probably thinks you're like rich radio guy, right?
Yeah,
Every person I would ever deal with, my dad would ever deal with, would sound like that. Hey, hold on. Let me make a couple calls.
Yeah.
I'll be right back.
Yeah. I mean, when you're dealing with Drunk in the Bear, you're essentially dealing with maybe the night manager of Arby's. I mean, last time.
They don't even stay open that late. They close at like 10.
Yeah, I was going to say, an Arby's manager is a reputable job. That's like a $65,000 job.
Yeah, you're right. Well, I mean, the most I ever made there as Drunk in the Bear is $31,000 a year.
Oh,
and I think
Arby's is winning.
I think when I bought this boat, I was making like $27,500 a year. You
were still on the come up.
I mean, I think me and Crystal together didn't make $50,000 a year. But at that time, I was like, oh my God, look what this buys us in Deltona: a pool.
Yeah, I'm rich.
And a boat.
So this guy's telling you $4,500, and you're like, yo, I got to make some calls.
So I called my sister.
My God. Hold on. Now this, I absolutely don't know about the two.
Because
she already fronted you $3,000.
Yeah. But then I said, I'm like, this deal's too good to be true. I'm like,
but it keeps getting bigger, so it is too good to be true. You see what I'm saying? Like it started at 3,
but
now it's 4,500. Yes, of course it's too good to be true.
But I'm still getting a value. Like, it was a better
Still a good deal.
Yeah, it's still a good deal, even, it's at 4,500. And I told her,
so you're pleading your case.
Yeah, because I'm like, if we.
What is she saying? Because Jen really has no time for BS.
My
she's
sister's ride or die. My sister's ride or die.
No, but she is ride or die, but she's also.
I'll call her up at any time. I'm like, bring your gun to this place. She'll bring
excited.
She won't.
I've been waiting for this call.
She won't.
I knew we were going to kill those brothers that died.
She will not. It's like she'll do anything for me.
Yeah.
It's the Van family way. Enable me. I'm like, I need it.
Direct.
I need it. And then she'll bring me heroin.
She's also direct, though. Like, if you're asking for something and she doesn't want to give it to you, she's going to flat out tell you no.
Yeah. No, and I'll just say, if you beg me, I'll give you anything.
Okay.
Right, anyway.
So you're begging her.
I'm begging her.
Can I get my check?
We can't. What truest? Who was in charge there?
I know. You know what? I watched the Braves
I'm not calling you truest. I'm calling you son
That's
truest.
right.
Yeah.
I'm not calling you truest.
I was watching Truist last night because I was watching the Braves, and Truist Park, it had 38,000 people in it, and they had money there. I'll tell you that. So they got monies.
How hard is it to set up direct deposit? I swear
you did it. It's out of our hands now. We have no control of when they send the check.
No, but I'm saying like auto direct deposit from account to account. Yeah. And because
because it's 2022 and most people have direct deposit.
There was some reason they were telling me we couldn't do it.
People literally think I'm joking when I say we get a check, a paper check.
I still get one. I'm an owner.
And this
nobody gives out paper checks anymore.
I'm trying to buy a boat, and I don't have a check.
It's fancier than it was before, where I used to write them and misspell them.
I actually liked it when he wrote them. I used to love getting a check.
I always had to respell my name.
I loved getting a check that just said "the little guy."
Samantha.
So what happened?
Anyway, so my sister.
She gives you the $50.
She
instantly, or did you have to sweet talk?
You're like, hey, I'll take you out on a boat.
Whoa, no,
you'll be part owner. You'll do this move. You're part owner of the boat.
You can use it whenever you want.
It's like you're a founder. You're one of our founders.
Yes, founder. I said founder.
You're part of the founders.
I put her sticker or her picture on the boat.
You're a BDM. You're a boat. You're a boat daughter millionaire. Yeah, he's using all the same stupid gimmicks.
I said you get naming rights to the boat.
It all makes sense. Remember when we were telling people we were going to let them name the fish for a price? That never happened. I think Norm actually paid us.
Hold on a second. They did pay, but what happened was all the fish that they were going to name died. So there's nothing to name unless you want to name, we could name the water. You can name some of the rocks that are in there. We still have Big Dory, but that's unkillable Big Fat Dory.
That fish is strong.
It does have a scar on its face.
It's got a mambo scar on its face. Have you seen the scar down its face?
Yeah. Like
and rumor has it that another fish didn't do that to Big Fat Dory. It did it to itself. That self-inflicted the scar.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like a cutter?
Because the only person you can kill when you've killed everyone is yourself.
So I went to Publix, so Western Union did, and got the
Western
extra
Union.
$1,500. Well, how else am I going to get the money? I need cash because if I don't give
Cash
it,
now.
I need it, and I need to sell my gold. Anyway, so I go and then I get the extra $1,500 because I thought
Are you paying in 2 separate checks, I hope?
well, no,
Oh, I
it's
like
cash.
that.
This is cash.
No, but I like it when you go like, okay, this is the first 3, and here's
yeah.
you know, you're counting it out.
Yeah, then I pull out a card.
Yeah.
So then, because I knew if I spent longer than a day, the brother's going to go home, start doing his research,
Talk him
and then,
out of it.
and then be like, "No, we're not selling this boat for. And we can get double the price."
Yeah.
And then so I went back, and then I gave him the cash, and then I was like, "I'd like to pick it up now, please."
I'd like to pick it up now, please, before you change your mind, please.
I didn't even drive it. It could have had no motor.
Well, it
I
didn't
looked
have
at
any
the
power
motor.
steering.
Oh, man.
It was hard to turn.
By the way, I do what everybody who doesn't know what they're doing does, which is...
Once you open up the back area, and they do it, you look at it, you're
Walk
like...
around
and you look at it, you're like, I see.
Yeah. So I
Interesting.
I take the engine compartment off because it's like the one where you have to slide the whole like fiberglass shell, and then I look at the motor and I'm like, that's a motor.
Yeah.
What am I like? It's not like I have some compression tester or like I'm just looking at it and I'm like,
I
whoa,
do these on the show.
I don't know what's inside.
I do these on the show. Any interview we have could be a client, and I'll use these. If you ever hear me say exactly or interesting, I have no idea.
It's a very good.
Yeah, I have no idea what's happening.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting there and I'm looking around and I'm like, interesting. Exactly. I'll do that a lot. So just look for those.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's how I got my first boat.
So that was a good grift.
Oh, I forgot we were even talking about that.
So that was
We've come a long way. We've come a long way.
That was a good grip.
What was the worst grip?
But we also don't know if you've ever settled up with your...
Oh, yeah. Have you
say
paid
your
her
daughter.
back?
Jesus Christ. You never settled up with your sister.
I remember there was a payment plan involved, and I was paying, and then there was some sort of dirt bike. I don't know.
How do you even factor that in?
I forgot the exact, and I think enough time.
I'm glad I'll pay you in dirt bikes.
I did some favors for her, and I think we
squared up.
Yeah, we considered the boat thing a wash.
Did you shake on it?
No, we never officially sealed the deal. Because me and my sister have always been like, listen, I got your back, you got my back. Times are going to be rough for both of us going out through our lives. We're the vans. At one point, I'm going to be...
Being a van is hard enough.
Yeah. At one point, I'm going to be living in a tent in your backyard.
Oh, my God. I ate ribs with this dude.
Yeah. Or...
That's what those girls were doing. They were living in a tent.
Or you could stay at my pool guest house if things swing the right way.
That's a shed. More of a patio shed.
Wait, what? You're offering your pool shed?
No, I'm just saying, like, who knows what the future is going to bring us. We'll catch each other's back.
You reminded me of something I saw on TV, or actually I saw it on Facebook. It wasn't TV. Having a beer with Mike.
Yeah.
He had a little person. He calls him the M word a bunch of times in the video, but the little person is down on his
Mike.
luck, and he's living and having a beer with Mike's pool shed.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's fantastic.
So, what is Having a Beer with Mike now?
It's an old show that...
No, I know. I remember watching it on TV.
He's still working
doing it on the internet.
No. These are the old originals.
Oh, okay, yeah, from the 90s.
This is what makes it even better, is that he's not doing new shows. He's just cutting out the old shows that really don't even hit anymore and releasing those. But for some reason, they hit with me because I'm a weirdo.
Those are the early 2000s, right?
Yeah, early, like 2003, 2.
So the actual Mike is in his 50s?
Gotta be.
It's gotta be, yeah.
Gotta be. But he's still got his ring. His Having a Beer with Mike ring. On one hand, he has a Back the Blue American flag, and then the other hand, he's got a Having a Beer with Mike ring. Oh, it's fantastic.
We should have a segment. I joked around about this. Bring Having a Beer with Mike.
I want to talk to this guy.
Politics.
I want to talk to the guy.
20-minute segment.
What's wrong with America, Mike?
It's like, oh, Mike!
Bring in the little person. I'm looking at living in the pool shed. Oh, there's Dick Simmons. Let's try.
Wait, we didn't get your worst grift.
You can never talk about that.
Oh, okay.
Well, the other good grift.
Worst grift is probably AT&T.
Well, no. But the another good grift was getting Bushy to pay me $15,000 to get married.
Yeah, that was a good
legally.
one.
I got that was how I bought my house, and that's how it all started. The wealth started accumulating was grift. That was the first $15,000 I got.
You gotta have a bad one though. What's a bad one? Something that you
there has to be some bad ones.
Something you invested in
lots of bad
that you
ones.
thought was good, and it just. Yeah, not good.
Well, the bad grifts were the years and years.
You try to forget about those.
Well, no, I remember, and Crystal could tell you some more, but I'll tell you the one.
It would be interesting to get Crystal's perspective on this, because I bet you're even forgetting about a few grifts.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But there's been dozens of times where I got listeners to come do work at my house, and it has gone
unreliable. They're very unreliable people.
Speaking, the one of the ones
they're
that
lovely
stand out
people. They're lovely people, but very unreliable.
Is when my fancy pool in Deltona, the liner started to fall in on itself. I needed a new pool liner, and again, I could not afford it because I couldn't even afford that.
Beyond your means.
Oh yeah, way beyond.
Yeah.
So I couldn't afford any of this. The house I lived in, anything.
Yeah.
So I started talking about it on the radio. Because that's what then people would start emailing me because they want free publicity for their company.
Which start talking about things on the radio.
That's how it works,
Yeah,
and you can 100% do it, and no one will enforce nothing. Like it's the old school law that's like, oh, payola, they'll come and get you.
Who's coming? No one's coming.
No one's coming. Anyway. So I started talking about it, and then this guy emailed me and said,
what's up?
I can get you. I'll put in a pool liner for
one just fell off a truck.
Yeah, $1,200, right? And I'm like, $1,200. I'm like, that's
wow, that's cheaper than the boat I stole.
I'm like,
Do you have a brother too?
$1,200 is like basically just the cost of the liner, right?
Yeah.
Like, and so he's like,
well, I even said that because I think was my dad living when you grifted this?
Yeah.
Because
you told me all about it.
Yeah, because like my dad was my dad loved vinyl liner pools. I remember asking, "Hey, Dad, is this a good price?" I remember my dad blew his shoes off. He's like, $1,200. Oh my God, that's fantastic! Tell him to jump on it. My God, he wanted to high five you through the phone.
God, I wish me and your dad did more business.
You guys would have been grifted. Oh my, he'd still be alive. Grifted, you guys would be grifted crazy. He would have loved it.
Brothers.
You were the son he always wanted. Me, I was his F word for gay son. He's like, oh, he's in there playing the flute. I know what a flute looks like. A ding dong. It's a robot ding dong. That's what my dad thought. I think he really thought that. But yeah, he would have loved you because you're strong, you're tall.
So anyway, the guy said pick the color and the style because I don't know if you're familiar, Sam, but they make the vinyl liners where at the top it looks like it changed to some sort of tile. Like it makes it look like you got tile. You know, so in
it's like
regular pools, there's tile at the top, and then the pool goes down. The vinyl liner just prints the tile pattern from the last foot and a half.
Photograph
Yeah.
of tile printed.
But you could pick it, right? So I picked it. I asked Crystal. I brought her in. We're on the gateway.
Which artificial tile would you like, my bride?
And we picked
the fanciest.
Something nice. Like we were like, let's make it look like the Bahamas.
Let's make it look. Oh, I like the
Bahamas.
one. I like the one where the dolphins leaping out of there.
Oh, did you get dolphins?
We got the that one. Which one is that's Porpoise Lagoon? 2 Porpoise Lagoons, please.
So we picked one, and then like 3 weeks later, like a long time.
It took a long time.
Yeah, and I already paid, which started to get me nervous. And I was like, oh,
that guy went on a bender. He took the $1,500. He started cocaining his face off.
So then a box
I
showed.
to use it to go to Louisiana.
So a box shows up, and I'm like, oh, it's here, right? A big square box, a heavy as hell vinyl liner. I open it up, not the pattern we chose.
No.
It's some sort of doo-doo brown.
Doo-doo brown and jet black.
It looks like it's like we picked some square turquoise Bahama.
Picked Lagoon. Why did they send a swamp?
It looked like a brown wasp nest like pattern. I was like, why would you put this? Anyway.
This is called the puddle.
Yeah, so already already. I was like, oh, but then again,
beggars can't be choosers. This is what I've always told him about. This is where our great arguments about like do it the right way, and he's always like, no, look for the edge, get the deal. This is where these arguments sort of started.
You got to compromise.
Like, I would be like, well, you can't be beggars, can't be choosers. You get the brown doo-doo liner when you paid $1,500.
So I was texting the guy back and forth. Sometimes I get ghosted for 5 or 6 days. Sometimes he replied, but when he replied, I try not to go too aggressive because I didn't want to make him run.
You already got the money.
I want to be nice. I'm like, hey, I'll go off. So thanks so much.
Hey, take your time. No rush. No rush.
So then one day I get home and the old vinyl liner is out. And it's just a mud hole.
Right? Wait, did you know they were coming? Or
no, I don't know. I don't know anything.
Greatest pool.
And then so now there's just the old vinyl liner out and a mud hole, right? Like there's
Which
like gunite.
It's good for the pool too.
And some water in the bottom or whatever. And I'm like, oh wow, okay, he's doing some work. I'm like, I look outside, there's no one to be found. I'm like, oh, he'll be back tomorrow. I'll have a new
He's
pool.
up at Burger King.
So then the mud hole is there for like 5 to 10 days, right? And then Crystal starts being concerned, and she's calling people.
Is this the new liner?
Like she's like,
tried to swim
it's a mud
in it.
liner.
She starts looking up online. She's like, you can't leave the mud hole too long. It'll collapse, and then you'll never have a pool again. So she's putting the pressure on me hard. And I'm like, this guy.
By the way,
fall through.
every pool he's had, this is the first one. The second one he's had, he also had a scenario where it was left for so long that they're like, well,
it's gonna explode.
So the first pool he had,
break in half.
The first pool he had was, remember, it was left on. Yeah, you would. It was left unattended for like, let's say 5 days, and they're like, the mud hole's going to collapse and ruin your pool. In the new pool, current pool that he has, it was left to a point where they're like, if you leave this, it will pop out and explode, killing everyone inside the dwelling.
They just break in half, and then it's like
float down the road.
$80,000. Anyway, so Crystal's freaking out, and I'm like, so I'm now putting the pressure on the guy. I'm texting him every day.
Hey, what gives?
I'm like, hey, you gotta come fill this mud hole, man.
What does? Is that what tough talk?
I'll do it.
Give me your tough talk. Let's role play. Give me your tough talk.
No, it wasn't tough. I was begging.
Please come finish this. My wife.
And then so then I was like, well, maybe I can just. I mean, how hard is it? I just put the vinyl.
I can fix a mud hole.
But I looked at the box. It's a square. I'm not even joking. Like 18-inch cube. And then you have to spread that out.
Wait a minute, my pole's round.
And then I looked up YouTube how to do it, and it's like way too complicated because there's like if you don't do it right, it bunches up. Anyway, so then. I get home one day, and the new vinyl liner is in there, and the hose is in there, and it's running.
Okay.
And then I was like, I'm like, whoa.
Daytona Bahamas, here I come.
Again, I go look for the guy, nothing. No, I text the guy, I'm like, what should I do? Like, because nothing's attached.
Let the hose run you, don't we?
Never heard from him again after that. But the liner's in, the hose is running.
But wait a minute, is that when the white piece?
I had to do that myself. Remember that whole thing?
Yeah,
I got Daniel over there.
So there's the white.
He was calling his dad.
Yeah, well, my dad knew a thing or two about it, and my dad's like, I don't want to go over there and put it. I'm not snapping that in. It tears your fingers apart. Because you got to snap them in, and then you're using a rubber hammer and slide them down.
And that's when I discovered the snake that they entombed into the vinyl liner, which I thought was a wrinkle at first until we dove down there a couple times, and I'm like, it's a snake under there. I feel it.
It was probably still alive.
No, it died. It died under there.
And under 10 tons of water pressure.
It died under there, then it decomposed. And then when you touch it, there'd be just a snake bubble. It'd be like a perfect outline of his body, and the earth had absorbed all the nutrients from his body. So you had a snake bubble.
Yeah. So that...
It was actually quite remarkable.
That was a grift that went poorly.
You know what a snake bubble is? Redneck fossil.
It all revolves around water, though. Boats, pools.
Yeah.
Well,
we're in Florida. It's the nature of it.
You just bring a little motorcycle on top, and you have the trifecta.
Oh, God. Man, I should...
Good times.
It's embarrassing. I should be embarrassed by all this. All right. Bye-bye.
Welcome back to A Corporate Time.
All right, so we have a listener on the line, but I'm not calling him by his fake name that he wants to be called because stupid.
You got no time for that?
Yeah.
Well, normally on the show, and I believe we've done a Weird Job Wednesday with this particular gentleman, and I believe we did refer to him as Daddy Applesauce.
Did we? Did I say that word?
It's 2 words. 3 words, really.
Gentlemen.
Mr. Daddy?
Yeah, I'm not saying you're...
Mr. Applesauce, did we call you that?
Yeah, you sure did.
Yeah, so you've just changed your tune.
Oh, did I say it?
No holds barred, buddy. You did.
No.
I don't remember. I have no recollection.
Well, what do you want to call him now? On the phone with us now is Gary.
Yeah, I'm calling you Gary.
What if that was his real name?
I hope it was.
Welcome to the show, Gary Applesauce. What's up, Gary Applesauce?
So,
Hey, guys.
you've got a story about firing someone, which is my favorite because it's so awkward, and every time I hear, like...
Have you ever fired anybody?
Yeah. Only one person. And it wasn't really... It was a impossible challenge.
Impossible challenge.
I just give them the impossible challenge.
And when they can't do it, I'm sorry.
It's a way
This was
easy.
Unfortunate.
I don't leave it
Do you
as...
tell them? Do you let them off the hook? Do you go, just so you know, you were never going to beat the impossible challenge?
No. Once I give them the impossible challenge, I never see them again. And then it's all solved. I just like, hey, you can work here if you accomplish this.
Gotcha.
And then they leave, but they're usually overconfident that they could do this thing, and I know they can't, so it solves itself.
It's like a sword in the stone scenario, right? Like there can only be one.
They're excited because they thought they were getting fired because they deserve it for sure.
Yeah.
But they then are excited that it gave them an out of doing this impossible challenge. So they leave here happy, and so I'm happy because they don't leave here sad.
This is so twisted.
Yeah, I know.
It's so
Yeah.
twisted.
And
so Gary, what happened with you?
Yeah.
So I was on the Weird Job Wednesday. You guys know I have a business where occasionally we'll get things like this. People need HR to step in, smaller companies. And I had one this morning that I didn't have to do any contracts on. There's nothing he had signed. That was the client's choice, not mine, so I could talk about it. But immediately I start thinking of you guys because, so long story short, we're going to call this guy Emergency Brake. That was his nickname, was E-Brake. And this guy is a electrician or an electrician in training. He gets hired to do some work for this smaller electrical firm. He's studying to be a journeyman.
Okay.
Well, he gets this like list of things that finally, I don't know how many people it took to get together to say, hey, we need to get rid of this guy, right? So I get this call and they say, hey, we've got somebody we need to let go. We don't really have a huge HR team. We'd like to tell you, why we want to let him go. And I said, sure. So I scheduled a video call. It was earlier this morning, got on with 4 different people. And they gave me 4 different stories that made me think of a mediocre time to come.
4 like different ones?
4 different stories that accumulated as to why they're going to go ahead and get rid of Emergency Brake.
Okay, well, it is interesting he got more than 3 chances. So, yeah, give me the 4.
So the first one is a site manager. It's a site manager in Tennessee. He says, so the first day he was here, he said, I had to do work on, basically like a rail, a pipe. So, and he said, and I needed 2 sawzalls. So I gave him to E-Brake, and E-Brake was going to hold these sawzalls and then send them up a rope to me, right?
Sure.
So I get where I'm going, and as soon as I get there, I get ready to radio him, and I look down, and he is juggling the sawzalls with metal blades in them, batteries in them, fully working, not on, but juggling the sawzalls.
That's impressive. That's a reason to hire. That's a reason to hire him.
Hold on. Like
He's so good at sawzawing that he can juggle 2 of them.
He was like Charles Peachoke, like 1 in the air at all times.
That's impressive. With a battery pack in there.
The manager told me, he said, I had to watch for a minute because I couldn't believe what I was seeing. He said, but then I radioed.
Well, that's not reason to fire the man. It's like,
Wow, I was sitting there and I was agape like I was watching Cirque du Soleil.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, was he doing it successfully? Did he drop one and break it, or did he juggle them?
Until he was called out on the radio by the supervisor, he was doing great. As soon as he got called out, he dropped them, and he didn't break either of them, but that was kind of his first citation as a safety concern. That's what they labeled that one as.
I think they should have turned a blind eye to that. He was a confident Tom Van.
But also, like, if you are able to juggle sawzalls, then you are, I mean, a damn near amateur
Mr.
professional
Sawzall.
juggler. You're like, that's not something you just picked up in college and now you did, 8 years later.
Sawzall. Love Saul.
It's something you practice doing. Like, you know how to, like, juggling sawzalls is difficult.
I mean, I can juggle, but I certainly can't juggle sawzalls.
Yeah, ever could do a soft ball, but a sawzall is hard.
I can juggle softballs, but never a sawzall. Can you juggle softballs or sawzall, Tom?
So, what's next?
I had another guy tell me he also used to juggle conduit regularly on job sites. So there's that as well.
He's just a happy guy.
This one was, I think, really what got him flagged on the list. He had a reputation with everybody. Nobody wanted to, from what I understand, work with the gentleman. But on one of the sites, they had an overnight shift, and he was, I guess, working with people he'd kind of become friends with, he thought, and he started complaining that he thought he had worms. He's like, I think I have worms, and he said, I think I need to go home. And so the job site manager said, that's like the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. You definitely don't have worms, and that if you did, that's not a reason to go home. So E-Break apparently went and got some kitchen gloves and went to the bathroom and came back and showed him his poop worms.
No.
Hold on, I appreciate it, man. He's like, I'm not gonna let them. Hey, I ain't letting them call me a liar.
Oh.
Who's lying now? Who's lying now? I got poop worms.
I mean, hold on. I'm kind of with E-Break here.
Yeah, the guy can juggle. He's got poop
He's like,
worms.
well, yeah, I'll show you.
Hey, y'all want me to stay here all day and do this job? You're gonna ruin my juggling career. I'm going home and taking care of my worms.
If you could go home with COVID, you could go home with
worms.
You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we've had people go home because they got a headache or something. You don't feel good, go home. We don't want you getting everybody sick. I certainly don't want you getting a butt worm on me.
Yeah. I want you to not be around me with the butt worms.
Take your worms home.
And he proved it. He wasn't lying.
Yeah,
so
because you guys are calling him a liar.
I don't know if I don't know where that worm came from.
I think all those people should be fired for calling E-Break a liar. He is a patriot.
You can't just find some butt worms out of nowhere.
No, they're hard to find.
Yeah. You're not.
You can't just fire an employee for having worms either. You know what I mean? So he's kind of like in the safe zone with that.
Yeah, he's definitely in the safe zone. Fire me for the worms. I dare you. Me and my worms will rename this place.
So far, you've described two different things that are not. We've had employees do way worse.
Yeah, we really have. I would have rather have dealt with the worms, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
So
what's number three?
The third boss tells me that he was more concerned with the employee engagement perspective because the employees had reported a number of things that were actually viable that he had done that were safety issues, things that were worthy of writing up. However, amongst those things, I wrote down 3 of them that didn't matter that I thought were absolutely hilarious because I can't laugh when I'm doing this, right? So the first one is a group of employees either seemed to have seen him do this or was under the impression he did this regularly, but apparently he used to go to local lakes and parks after work and steal ducks for dinner. And he would tell employees and show them cell phone videos of him going to parks, taking wild ducks, and then going home and preparing them for food.
Hey, check this out. Check this out. This picture on my phone. I got this doughy duck. That's my worms. Hold on. Let me scroll through. I scroll through my worms. Okay, here's my ducks. Check out my ducks.
I mean...
Still not as something I would fire somebody.
Sounds like you guys might not be paying him enough.
Either that or Tom and I are too lenient around here because everything you're listening...
Is that illegal?
Yeah.
I know you can't take a Lake Eola swan, but some wild... S duck.
Yeah,
and
some old S duck.
Yeah, in a random lake.
Yeah, one of Concrete Mike's duck's been knocked around so much he can't even walk. His thing is brain dead.
Are ducks protected? Like, can you just take one from a lake, like a regular?
You have to leave a note if you take it. It's leave a duck, take a duck.
Doo-doo duck? Like, how does that work? Can you eat a wild duck in a lake?
Apparently, it depends on which type of duck.
What?
Like
Muscovy ducks are protected.
Get a duck snap on the line. Get that guy.
Those are nasty.
Like some stinky Miami
the goozle duck,
canal duck that I see. With a red, floppy, gross tumor goozle.
Yeah, a tumor goozle. Yeah. A toozle.
Wait, like, can you eat one of those?
You got to cut the goozle off. I wouldn't eat that. Yeah. At least dip it in some Polynesian sauce first.
So now that's in his off time. So far, you haven't named anything. That's
what I do in my
fence.
private time is on me.
As far as Tom Van goes.
And if you're fishing while you're stealing ducks, got worms in my pocket. Worms for days, son. What else you got?
Many employees said that and again, this is one manager telling me that he's interviewed multiple employees. They said that he bragged about living in a hammock in the woods while owning a mansion.
Well, he's just insane.
Yeah. Also, hammock good for when you have butt worms. Just pointing out the obvious here. That way the worms can come and go as they please.
So was he like a borderline homeless wild man?
No, I from what I understand, I saw all his documents. He's got an address. He made some money with his company.
Maybe the worms have driven him mad.
Well, here was the cherry on top. So he cost the company somewhere in the neighborhood of double to triple digits of a labor issue, and this is how he got his nickname right before he's been let go. He was working to repair something in a factory where they had an assembly line that was running, and there's this big line, like rope, with signs that says, pool emergency brake, pool emergency brake. Apparently he came to work late and asked the supervisor directly what the line was for before reaching up and pulling the line, which resulted in 3.5 hours of delays and lost the company, I'm not under contract, $53,000.
Whoa,
that's a lot.
So that's ultimately what he got fired for.
It wasn't the worms, it wasn't the juggling.
You start pulling lines and costing the company money, they're out of here. Now, when you told him about this and you fired him, did he understand?
Was he like, I know?
Yeah, he was super cool. That was the weirdest thing.
Yeah, most of those guys are, because they know.
Well, he knows who he is. Yeah. He's messing around. He can't stop himself. He has to pull the lines. He gets the worms.
He's a goddamn crazy worm man living my crazy worm life.
Yeah.
Well, and what was, none of that came up. When we had the conversation, I let him know, obviously you've been cited for multiple violations. There's apparently got, a bit of a reputation behind you that isn't favorable, and that might be, something that on the job site people were perhaps shying away from doing work with you, which, isn't great, right? Because the job has to get done, and that's, neither here nor there. But do you have, ultimately we got into, do you have any questions? Is there anything going on? Can the company help you in any way on your way out? And he said, no, I understand everything. I completely agree with everything you said. And do I get another check?
How about a duck to go? Can I get a duck to go?
A guy who eats ducks and has worms. This guy has. He's tough.
I think
you're not going to. He's not going to break down and cry. Like, he's lived a hard life.
Can you get worms from eating duck?
I'm sure that's why. Yeah. You start eating wild trash animals. They got worms, and you get worms. Yeah. That's exactly where he got them from.
Yeah, he got them from eating the ducks.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great story, man. Can I get that guy's number? Because we have a sales position open currently at the studio.
Yeah. Hey, we'll get one free duck a day.
Yeah, one free duck a day, and all the worms we can. Oh my God! Look at how many worms. Sam, go to our worm pile.
All right, applesauce. We'll
called you
later.
He did it.
Thanks, Tom. Love you guys.
All right, love you too.
So when you fire someone and they totally understand and they take it fine, that's fine. Like that's easy to me, right? Or if they do something so egregious or such a bad employee, that's also fine for me.
I've had both. I've had it where they freak out, and I haven't fired that many people. Namely, just interns. But when I've done it, I've had most of them are cool because I'm cool with them.
But what I fear, and maybe the situation will never happen, but it's the laying off employees that are good. Like, I imagine the people that have to fire employees that are either good and it's just because the company is doing...
It's a good feeling to hire somebody that's dragging your company down. Is that what you're saying?
No. I'm just saying, like, they're a good employee, a model employee, but you have to...
that happens.
There's layoffs.
There's layoffs, and you have
happens.
to lay a person that has a family off. Like, that, to me, is horrible that they have to do. And then the second one is someone that's trying their hardest, but is too dumb.
That one doesn't matter to me. That one doesn't matter. I can do that one all day long, and that's the difference between you and me. You're talking about our old intern. I fired that guy, and but
he wasn't getting paid, so that's easier.
He didn't need to be there. Even his dreams were dumb. That's how dumb this person was. Everything about him was dumb.
But easier to fire someone that's not depending on the money or like it's just a free internship. It wasn't.
I just needed to get this guy the hell out of my hair.
Like,
I've never met a person that is literally the single stupidest person, Sam. This guy was so stupid.
Because I put myself in a situation, I imagine, where if I am firing someone and the person starts crying and then begging me for their job.
Have you ever had that?
No. And
you had to handle interns after I had quit the radio station, so you didn't have to get any sticky situations, any reviews or anything?
Dude, I didn't even give two S's about what they did. I would leave early and let them just run the board and no one even cared. Also, I would just I just say, fill out whatever you want on your paperwork and sign my name.
You guys said that to me too, though.
Yeah, we did that for years.
But it was just like,
then old Cena got mad, man.
Yeah, man. If you got somebody checks and balances, that ruins our game.
And by the way, this goes to anybody that's listening to me. Fill out anything you want and sign my name at the bottom of the line. I don't care. Okay. I don't care what it is. If
it helps you out, it makes me happy.
Write a letter of recommendation to yourself and sign Tom Van. I don't care.
Put them down as job references, everything.
And then anybody who calls me, and then they start asking if I know you, I'll just say yes, and I'll be like model employee. I'll lie to anything. It doesn't matter to me. Who cares? Because what does it matter to me if it helps you?
What if people put you down as a witness for a trial?
We should offer
gonna go?
that.
Well, they'll vet that
Character
out.
witness?
Hold on a second. You're sharing something that could be lucrative. For 1095 and 1095 BDMs only, Tom and Dan will personally vouch for you in any sticky situation.
I like this.
Any sticky situation.
I like this.
Now, we have to be available, but if you need somebody to talk your wife down, calm her down a little bit, I'm your guy.
Yeah.
I'm a talker. I'm a chirper.
And
charming, quite charming.
And we're not going to write a letter, but if you write it and sign it for us.
I'll look it over and make sure you're not saying. And I'll have Andrea spell check it so it at least looks good. But this is another service we could offer for 1095, but 1095ers only.
Yeah. Okay, I like
only.
that. Yeah.
Making sure, like I'm changing jobs. Can I put you down as a reference? Yes, you may if you're paying $10.95 a month. $8.95, not going to work. Not going to work.
Who are the people that
in
are
your neighborhood
good? I mean, they bring in specific teams of people that just do layoffs, like Office Space. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I think that's what Applesauce did.
Is that what it's called? Like,
he kind of is the. Remember George Clooney? His job in that movie where he would
fly around
firing people
up in the air, right?
Yeah, up in the air. Yeah.
It's a weird
with that one weird girl. Who's that weird girl that's in
Anna
it?
Kendrick.
Yeah, she's weird.
I like her.
I don't dislike her. I'm just saying she's weird. I'm weird. Hell, but I'm just like, didn't she write a book? I think she wrote a book.
I feel like everybody's writing books now.
What personality trait?
When is Tom Van going to write a book?
I started writing a book years ago.
Every radio host ends up doing it.
Yeah, you're about right for it. You need to, and then you got to self-publish it, which really looks rinky-dink.
Yeah. It's
you self-publish it, and then you get like some friend of yours to do the foreword. Who would do the foreword of your book? The Wizard? Me. I would be honored to do the forward, although a lot of people would be like, man, the forward was so good, but the stories, his not so good.
And again, though, I do an audiobook. You
got to do the book
real
first.
book.
You got to do a real book first.
No, I was just straight audiobook.
Well, that's just called a podcast.
Yeah.
Or a show. That's just called a show.
Well,
it's got to be like written down so you can follow along.
Well, I'll write down the gist of my book and the stories, and I'll just do, what's a standard audiobook? It's like 17 hours, right?
No, my God, those are too long. Normal's like 8.
8 hours or whatever? Okay, I'll do an 8-hour beginning to end the story of Tom Van.
Wow, the story of Tom Van.
I've got my own podcast equipment. I'll just start tonight.
You will not.
Okay, you know what? I'd like to see that happen.
You know.
We do know. You want to do one more? Let's do one more. Let's try.
Also, nobody would want to like. What?
Sorry,
everybody's heard all the stories. There's nothing.
There's new things in there.
There's nothing new. I told everything.
You know what people would want to hear, but it would never happen because it's not you. People would want to hear, like you and I've had deep conversations about our true feelings or like my anxiety or how you feel or not feel. That's the stuff people would want to hear, but we'd never record that.
We do that on the show.
We do, but we don't
stay away from anything.
But not without jokes. I'm talking about the times when you and I are really being serious, sentimental, and there's zero jokes in that. They'd love to hear that. I'm just giving you an answer.
We've done that, even in real life, off the air. I've never had a sentimental.
We'll talk about. I'll talk about my feelings and how bad I'm feeling or something, and you're not making jokes, and you're being like authentically compassionate.
Or just sit there and stare at my computer.
No, you offered help.
Not really. What help have I ever? I've never offered anybody emotional help or anything. I don't even because I don't even understand what they're feeling.
You talk me through it. You talk me down, and you have like encouraging words like relax. You're fine.
That's all. Yeah,
it's all you can do. But I'm like, you're selling yourself short. There is an element of at least you attempting to be compassionate.
No, I know. But it's that isn't interesting to anybody at all.
It is. I think that's why most people love true podcast formats that are going on like right now, especially with comedians, is because you're able to hear your favorite comedians not do the same old set that they've been working on for 2-3 years. You actually get to hear them talk about their lives, their day-to-days, the problems that they're having. And I think that's why a lot of those people get more yank.
No, yeah, because they've got this worked out bit on stage, and then now they're just talking real. But all our content is just us BS and going through our lives, so not much different. Now, if we decide to do a set, that's totally different than what we're doing.
Totally different. Yeah.
Anyway,
we got to take a break. We will take one, and we will come back with more A Corporate Time with Tom and Dan right after this.
Welcome to A Corporate Time with Tom and Dan. I'm Tom.
I am Daniel. Our producer, Samantha Ann, is here.
Hello.
Thomas.
Let's do Weird Job.
All right, go for it. Tom wanted to do a bit. He called it Weird Job Wednesday. Shaka-ka. Dan really likes it. Tom says that's bullshit. It's another Weird Job Wednesday. Let me shaka. What are you doing? What is your job? Are you neat? Are you tidy? Or are you a fat slob? Do you make lots of money and you sit up in your tower looking down on all the people who are working by the hour? It's a Weird Job Wednesday. Just another Weird Job Wednesday. This really is a beautiful song. Oh, yes, it's Weird Job Wednesday. Just another Weird Job Wednesday. Thank you, Tom. Thank you.
Weird Job Wednesday brought to you by Streamline Florida. Also in California now, the entire state. You can go to Streamline California if you're looking for mortgages, if you're buying a house, if you want to do a refi, if you want to do I believe it's called a home loan conversion. Yeah. Basically, it's a reverse mortgage if you're over 62 while the equity's high in your house.
Florida, California, from east to west, they're the best. It's Streamline MortgageSolutions.com.
Yeah, so talk to them. They'll do the best thing for you when it comes to the business of your house and mortgages and the equity in your house. Make your house work for you.
Would they? It's a serious question. If I'm talking to Brian or Leo, and I say, "Hey, I want to take out all this money, and I want to buy 2 Corvettes." They're probably going to talk me out of that, right?
I mean, they have nothing. They're not in your business of what you want to do. You do whatever you want.
For you, buddy.
They're not your financial advisor.
The second Corvette was for you, buddy.
Yeah, I mean,
for you.
If if that's what you want to do, who are they to?
They're going to make a face, though. I feel like.
No.
I feel like they'd be like, I don't know if this
You're
is
an adult.
a good
You
idea.
can do whatever you want with the your own money.
Gotcha. Hey, Rhonda's on the line, everybody. Rhonda, how are you? Help me, Rhonda.
I'll do my best.
So, Rhonda, what's your weird job?
I'm sorry I said that. You probably had every old man in the world has
I was
said
about to say, that didn't get an old man alarm. Like, what?
Well, Sam's feeling sorry for me because it's hot in here, and she's too hot to even press the button.
I can't even think right now.
Yeah, she's sweating over there.
So, what's your weird job?
My weird job is I am a utilization management nurse consultant.
A utilization management nurse consultant. That sounds like you're the mother of nurses.
Or it's a super fancy name for a receptionist at a doctor's office.
Wow. Rude.
Mean.
Wow.
I mean, that's what happens.
If I were
that's
you,
what happens. When
Rhonda,
you give me a fancy name, I'm like, salesperson.
Rhonda, if I were you, I would take a stern and spicy sip of my soda water, and I would hang up on this man. I would hang up right on this man. Goodbye, sir.
What does that mean?
Well, it means that I work for a company that helps hospitals recoup some of the money that they're losing.
So you fire nurses?
No, not at all.
So you're a collections agency?
What are you?
I review documentation to make sure that it's cool that we kept you in the hospital and that your insurance will pay for it. And if it wasn't, I find a way to make it cool.
Oh, so you're helping people that may or may not have told the right thing or said the right things when they got in there, and then they're in the hospital now, and then somebody's got to pay for this. So you find the ways to facilitate payment for all things hospital?
100%. You just nailed it, Daniel.
All right. So
that sounds.
What does that entail?
You have to be creative at times, I would imagine.
Well, mostly it entails sitting in my office, reading charts and making notes and then submitting them to the right people. A couple of weeks ago, I was writing appeal letters on behalf of a hospital, and, I ended up collecting like $50,000 from one of my letters alone. I personally didn't get it, but the hospital got it.
Gotcha.
So, Rhonda, explain to me this, because it seems like, and maybe this is a question for Blanchard, but
Blanchard!
It seems like all insurance nowadays is
a scam.
Well, every time I hear...
Thank you, Rhonda. Rhonda said it.
Yeah.
Help me, Rhonda.
I'm getting there, because you have insurance, and then people tell me, they're like, oh, yeah, if you try to submit that to your insurance, they're going to deny it. But if you have to keep fighting, and they'll eventually pay for it. I'm just like, well, why do I even pay for it? I pay for this insurance.
Right.
This happened to me.
Help!
Why do we have to do the song and dance where they deny it, and then I have to go and fight before?
She'll explain it.
Yeah.
Well, that's because it has been legislated that way. So if you would want easier insurance, then you need to vote for legislators who want Medicare for all.
I voted today.
Oh, God, that's today?
Samantha, thank you for doing your part.
That's today? Oh, I'm too tired. Yeah, I don't care. Hey, whatever you guys want to do is fine.
I just like putting stickers on gas pumps. I don't like going to voting.
I did that all morning. You know how hard it is to do that? And I had to take the other stickers off and put my stickers on.
And I'm like, do I put...
No, there's really no big change. It has to be, insurance is a scam. It is a pyramid. People pay for what they want. Up to 20% of Medicare cases are wrongly denied. So, we need more utilization management nurses to go in and, help do the Lord's work from their offices and drink coffee at their house.
Force the insurance to actually do their jobs and pay for these bills. Yeah.
So, do you get any sort of bonus or accolade for collecting
Oh, do you get like a commission?
A bunch of money. You said you collected
headhunter's fee or something.
$50,000. Or is it just this is your job, so collect what you can?
Right now, it's a this is your job, collect what you can. But we have been told that down the road, depending on what we're pulling in, that we could definitely do 1% a year.
Man,
see, this is where the problem
is. Telling me things, though, it's like they never happen.
And also, you give me no incentive to collect anything at this point because if I were you, I would sit back and surf Facebook.
Yeah, and then be like, a little
TikTok.
collecting here, a little collecting there, whatever.
Well, here is the different side of that. I used to be a bedside nurse. I did that for a very long time. And the difference between bedside nursing and what I got paid and what I get paid for hanging out at my house and watering my plants is dramatically different.
Percentage-wise, how much difference would you say?
40% difference.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a lot more. That's a lot more money to not see grotesque wounds and
nobody yells at me.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any strange wieners. Nothing.
Yeah, and people that are just like, and then just sadness, just overall sadness, right? It's not like it's a happy place.
From talking to my nurse friends, I often forget. Like I know that the police have to deal with an insane amount of mentally ill people, and I forgot that so do nurses.
Yeah.
like they're all like the mentally ill end up in the hospital a lot, and then you have to deal with them.
You want number 3? Show me libraries. Ding. They get a lot of them too. Yeah.
But I think nurses get more mentally ill.
Oh yeah.
Well, where do you think your crazy family goes after Nana dies? They, start punching each other in the ICU waiting room.
Yeah, because you guys aren't seeing her fast enough, but they don't realize there's nothing you guys can do.
Well,
they're just demanding you guys see her first, and then they get into a little dust up.
And nobody wants to see their grandma like that.
Right.
And then I feel like
even if you're wearing a salt light hat,
society
exactly.
You don't want to see that.
Like society,
even if you're wearing a salt light.
Like even cops and society in general, like there's someone laying on the ground and they're yelling and they poop themselves, and then everybody's like, "What? We gotta get them out of here!" Like just take them to the hospital, and then just take all these people to the hospital.
I just want to leave them there,
and then because
and just move around them.
We're like, we need to get these people somewhere. They
just pretend like it's not happening,
and then they have to go through the hospital system and then bother all you guys, and it seems like a nightmare.
It is.
So, back to collecting money here. So
way better than pooping.
Now, is it more work now that a lot of people have like government insurance? How does that work? I feel like it's hard to get money from the government insurance, or does that all go through some private? How does that work?
Like healthcare financing in general, or there's different branches. There's Medicare, Medicaid, and private insurance. Medicare is for old people and anyone getting dialysis, and Medicaid is for people on government services and women and children who need services, and then private insurance.
I know what a care is when people say Medicare. I'm like, that makes sense. But what's a CAID?
The CAID is for, poor people.
Yeah, but what's a CAID? Care is you care about.
That's just what it's called. It's Medicaid.
Medic.
Yeah, it's just
and
Medicaid.
Then the C is on the end of medic, and the aid. Okay, that's a dumb name.
What I'm asking, Rhonda, is I know there's different, like people, they hear about some fancy insurance that someone has.
I want fancy insurance.
And then they're like, oh, yeah, they pay.
Yeah.
And then you get the really bad, low-cost
deductible, like
government insurance, and they're like, oh, they don't pay nothing. And so I imagine that when you're looking over like claims, and then you got someone on bottom barrel government, like as cheap as it comes insurance,
basic,
that you're like, oh, they're not going to pay nothing, and then you have some sort of super fancy Geico, or I mean, what's
Blue Cross?
No, Blue Cross. Cheap one.
I write and cite every letter like someone owes me money. I don't care where it's going.
Gotcha. So you approach them all about the same.
I approach them all the same.
And is there any tricks that you use?
Yeah.
Or is it just if you write a letter, they're forced to then go through the second step of the process once they denied it the first time, and then
it's just the way it works.
Yeah. Like it's just a simple
it's the process.
numbers
you have to
game.
respect the process.
It is just a numbers game. So if you do a second level appeal, it's just rearranging some words and hoping somebody reads it with a kinder eye.
Yeah.
So is it?
And even the chat room is saying, because I think maybe you were under the misconception that like a Blue Cross Blue Shield is a low-level insurance, but it's not.
I mean, there is low-level ones.
Sure, for every
it,
provider, I mean, like, just because they're the provider doesn't necessarily, I mean, your coverage can vary depending on whatever.
It's an industry that has confused me my entire life.
Me too.
And I think
it benefits them.
I'll never understand. Yeah, I'll never understand it. It seems like I pay way too much. I get nothing. And I'm just like, I don't even want this.
Insurance, taxes, these are all things that the confusion benefits the people asking, right?
Statistically, it's I'm paying way too much for cancer insurance. You know what I'm saying?
You have cancer insurance? Do I have cancer insurance?
You have cancer insurance?
No, I mean that's all it's good for. It's good for a catastrophe.
Oh, you have like critical. If anything catches on fire, they'll kind of throw some water at you.
Yeah.
Insurance.
No, well, that's what
if I have cancer, don't set me on fire for the love of God.
I'm just saying,
it might burn the cancer.
It seems like it's only good for some sort of
emergency,
like I get in a car accident or cancer, and all the other stuff I pay out of pocket $5,000 a year out of my pocket before they kick in anything. So I'm just
unfortunately, it's because you're a small business owner and your wife is a small business owner, and neither of you are attached to a large corporation who can get like huge discounts on great plans.
That seems fair.
Yeah, I know, right?
That's the answer.
I know.
For you.
It's absolutely correct.
Should be the other way around. Musicians have been saying this for years. It's like right when you get to the time where you're a famous musician is when you get all your instruments and all the stuff that you need to play for free. Mm-hmm. But you can afford it.
Right.
It doesn't work well. It's backwards.
So, Rhonda, let's say on a standard day, how much actual work do you do? Because you said you work from home, right?
Uh-huh.
So,
well, what kind of work are we talking?
Walk us through your day.
I'm saying sitting in front of your computer, typing out an email, like engaged work. I'm not talking about like you're walking around, you're cooking your breakfast, you're thinking about. I'm talking about fingers on the keyboard,
knocking out some,
talking on the phone to some insurance provider,
some business.
Yeah.
4.5 hours a day.
All right.
That's awesome. That is fantastic.
That's
my God. I take bowel movements that are about that long.
And that means 2 hours.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, honestly, when I worked in the hospital, I used to try and poop as much as I could at work because they paid me so little. So I feel like I'm making up for it now.
I used to do that at the radio station. I go poop a lot there.
Yeah, it's one of the benefits that we'll see. We'll see a migration. We've already seen it, but people are gonna rather work from home, work for themselves, because in other instances, if you're on camera in a uniform, you are working every minute of the day. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Or at least standing.
Or if they track you,
pretending to work.
You're signed in.
You're either working or
that's how they used to do me at Walgreens.
Yeah. Like if you're in the Amazon warehouse, they got a beeper on you, and
you're wearing a hairnet,
and
they're checking your
bucket.
Yeah, they're reaching in your bum.
Yeah. So
they're checking your bum.
You want to be at home pretending to work, like
everybody
Rhonda and everybody else that works from home. My buddy the Wizard, everybody.
A lot of doctors, telemedicine, they're just from their house.
And then you're setting your own schedule. You don't have to commute anywhere. Like all that.
It is the only way to live.
Yeah. And then Rhonda, the people you work for probably love you, and they're like, Rhonda's a go-getter.
She's the best.
Yeah, she's a go-getter. She gets all of her work done. I'm even nice to people sometimes. Yeah.
So, you can do less than you're doing now and still
definitely
ride it out.
Yeah. But the precedent's already set, so you can have a lax week, have a couple of weeks, because you've already set the precedent that you're a hard worker. So how much money do you make?
Do you want hourly or a year?
Year, because I can't do the math hourly.
This is Tom's
department. Okay.
I don't understand, but when someone tells me to make $20 an hour or $25 or if I don't even know what that translates.
How many hours?
Is that good? It seems good.
Yeah.
Seems awesome.
Do you want to guess? Do you want to guess first?
Yeah, I'll guess. I think you make $78,000 a year.
Okay.
I'm going
Thomas?
62.
Oh, okay.
Sam?
I make $92,000.
I was going to go higher.
Whoa!
Nice.
Wow.
You deserve it. You're
That's
getting that
awesome.
money.
Go water
Thank
your
you.
plants.
You're effing the
Thank you
rays.
so much.
Nice job. You're my favorite nurse.
Probably deserve more.
Yeah. It's
You know, when I left bedside
You don't
nursing in
deserve more.
2020, I made $31 an hour. And
Tom hates
I made
that.
that for
Tom
like
hates
12
that. Convert it quick.
Well, who deserves more are the nurses wiping insane
absolutely.
people's doo-doo
Wow.
off.
She's not saying that that's not true.
I know.
While they barf
Well-
Corona on them.
Yeah.
I started wiping doo-doo in 2005 for $9.25 an hour. So I will sit here in my palace
You deserve
and make
it.
all my dollars.
Yes, ma'am.
No, listen.
Yeah, you
it's
deserve
nothing
every.
against
You know what? Take this
Rhonda.
week off, Rhonda.
Tell Tom to go after himself. He doesn't deserve it.
No, I'm just saying the
I'm going to
system.
go pick my tomatoes.
The system
Yeah.
is broken. Rhonda's making 92,000, work 2 hours a day.
Yeah.
And the doo-doo nurses are making half that, 8 hours or
grueling.
12-hour shift.
Oh, no,
grueling.
12 hours a day.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely 12 hours a day.
12 grueling hours
That's
of doo-doo.
insane.
Write
that down. That's a movie. Starring that guy that everybody hates now that chewed his arm off.
It's because Rhonda
Who's
is
the guy that chewed his arm off that everybody hates now that was in the movie?
Oh, I don't
James
know.
Franco.
James Franco, see?
Oh, the actor, not the real guy. I was like, what would happen
They
to that
might
guy?
hate him too. I mean, people that are missing limbs are weird.
But here's the problem: there's nothing we could do because the 12 hours of doo-doo wiping, those patients are not contributing anything to the hospital. So that's a negative, a net
Right.
negative. Rhonda, every time she gets a $50,000 claim, like she's making
Boom.
the hospital. That's why she's getting paid.
Yeah.
Which also goes to show you, if you're going to work for a company, work in the department that makes the company money.
Yeah.
It'll be
So you'll
better
matter.
job security.
You'll matter.
Also, they'll be more likely to pay you because it's just human psychology that if you look at someone and they're making the company $1 million a year, then they'll start paying you more because they're like, well, we can't lose this person that's making us $1 million a year. Like that's who they'll pay.
Exactly.
Anyway.
By the way, Tom, 12 grueling hours of doo-doo starring James Stanko. You're welcome. She laughed.
Well, good for you, Rhonda. I'm glad you're doing well.
You don't need any help. You got it.
Yeah.
I don't. But the song about the French witch last week was beautiful. It is my favorite. Daniel, you are a musical genius.
Oh, thank you. You know, they used to say that about another guy, and oh, man. You know what happened to him? Uh-oh. You'll be wiping him soon.
Oh, come on.
No, I won't.
That's right.
Hey.
Enjoy your 92.
That's right.
Get a cabana.
Thank you.
Get a cabana on me. 144.
See ya,
Never
Rhonda.
forget.
Anytime.
All right. Love you, baby. Bye.
Whoa.
Thanks. Love you guys.
Okay.
Oh, weird as you.
Yeah. Why'd you say that?
I got horny at the end. She's got a lot of money.
And, 92 after taxes and stuff. I will follow this TikTok. It explains every state, and it's like, if you make 100, this is
It's too fast for me. I like a longer form content.
And they're like,
TikTok's too rapid fire.
And they're like, this is your take home, 72. I'm like, oh, God, a lot of.
sucks, right?
What the hell? Anyway.
Well, that was
Between
impressive.
insurance and taxes.
She
my
sounded
God.
super happy. She hasn't even started her day yet. She's walking around in her pajamas.
yeah.
That's phenomenal.
Anyway, so Matt, I'm curious of the interview because so anybody who wants to stay there, they obviously.
First question.
Okay.
Do you return your cart at the grocery store?
I do.
Okay. All right, well, now hold on.
I know what you do, and
Matt-
I know what you do, and it's not. You do a hot. You go and you take
Oh,
it.
the curb, doesn't
and
he?
he puts his foot on the back, and he
jacket on the curb.
and he puts it on the
The
curb.
old
so-
American History X.
That's what they want.
Half of it's
American
in there.
History
Yeah,
X
half
over
of
there.
it's in there.
You curb it.
Yeah, you curb it. Half of it's in there, but the back wheels are resting on the concrete, and you're like, it's out of the way still. It's out of the way. You can still park.
Yeah, the wind won't blow it down.
He's not wrong, but-
The hero, look at him.
I don't just leave it there. I'm like, I curb it on the top, and then the back boys or whoever's out there, they appreciate it. They're like, at least
They don't
curbed
appreciate it.
I'm not going to take all the way back to the cart return. That's insane.
There's not one. There's multiple. You have to look around. You have to be
Second
aware.
question. I need to see your pantry.
Oh,
Oh my God! One bag of popcorn.
no.
silverfish.
No, it is. I mean,
Emergency. It's
All
got
the
Alex
cereals.
Jones emergency food to the brim. Literally to the brim with emergency food.
and then on the very top, taco seasoning.
Oh, I need to see a picture of your pantry today.
Matt's looking. He's like, "Is that old Ortega up there?" My God,
there is no actual organization whatsoever. It's just like some people put like all the rice and pasta together. Like, it's just
we scatter it around. It's a potpourri of fun.
It is just filled to the brim. I can't even pull the drawers out because it has drawers.
They've rotted shut.
No, it's just, like if I pulled it out, it would knock the garbage off the top onto the bottom. Anyway.
Third question. I need to see your wheels for the amount of curb marks.
Oh my God. Even on a truck where it should be impossible to curb your rim. I don't know how he does it. It's like magic. If you can curb truck rims, you must be David Blaine. His truck, he has the shiny Silverado rims, the standards. And they're nice looking wheels if you keep them nice. They are, they look like robot hair. Like, the shavings you get from a CNC machine. That's what it looks like. His wheels just look like shavings.
Do they have to prove it to you? Like, they have to walk outside?
Grab their camera and walk out there and show me all four wheels.
I like that.
All their cars. Yeah.
I like these questions.
What if the rims are curved? Like, what happens?
They're out.
You like no soup for you, and you hang up the phone. Like, you don't give them a chance because it's $5,000.
Thank you so much for your time.
Like,
we have no time for this.
Like, some guy wanted.
Have you denied people already?
No, not yet. But if you had like one wheel that was curbed and you explained to me, look, my wife, she went out, and she was at Chick-fil-A parking lot or the Chick-fil-A drive-through and jacked the wheel up, but I've got one on order, that's fine. That's acceptable. But if you have all four, now we've got a problem because you're going to go jack up my house.
Yeah, it's true.
It's
true. You can't be trusted. You'll be in that M3 and you'll be going through a Dunkin' Donuts
in my house.
Yeah, this guy's going through a Dunkin' Donuts.
I'm not an animal.
And he's in the M3 and he's.
I have respect for other people's stuff. It's just, I guess I don't. Now that I think about it, it's just, I do.
That's the thing about you. You've always said you have respect for other people's stuff, but I've never seen it.
When I said it out loud, I realized that I was lying.
You say a lot of things. You say a lot of things, and people are now starting to figure that out.
So Matt,
these are the early people. So we booked 39 weeks in the first month, which is pretty sick. So I basically booked the entire year.
That's crazy.
You booked the whole year.
Wow.
Yeah. We can't even book it. We can't even book the whole year at $90 a night.
You can't book a whole month.
Now, to be honest, yours is the destination. Ours is,
Well, we get close to the weekend. I'm begging the BDMs. I'm putting it on.
They're like, we're tired of Sanford.
I get Sam to, I'm like, post it up on your Facebook on Side Chicks. They'll do it. They're cool. Anyways, so
are you guys doing this through Airbnb, or are you doing it on your own site?
We're doing a hybrid of both to make it more difficult.
Well, whatever the most difficult.
Yeah. We usually go the cheapest and most difficult route. So we're like, well, how can we if spending money? We have the money. We do. We have the money. Should we spend money? No, don't spend the money. Make it harder. Make it harder.
No, we realized not going through Airbnb will save the money, but I got scared because I was like, I bet the BDMs aren't going to book this thing,
and we were right.
I knew them.
Mother.
And then we weren't getting it booked out. But we did jump to the top of Airbnb, and other randos started booking it. Moms going on baseball, like for the kids' baseball tournament,
volleyball tournament, softball tournament.
The 70-year-old ladies, like she
wanted a romantic getaway with her lesbian wife,
and we got to pay the bills, so we just take all comers or whatever. Like it's
literally we do.
Then it's like we got to at least break even here, and then we're on
a really bad strategy.
You know how much internet costs these days, man? It's crazy.
And then here's the thing, Matt, you'll love this. We have to
the water's leaking.
We have to drive down there every week to recharge the Ring doorbell.
It's not a joke. That's real.
That's real.
Unfortunately.
Well, don't tell him it's real. He thinks it's a joke.
Tom doesn't want to tell me because I keep asking him, I'll go down there and do it. And he's like, no. And then the reason he won't let me go down there to do it is because he knows the shame of me going down there and pulling it off the wall and saying, oh, God, I got to plug it in for 10 minutes.
Have a wired version. You can hire an electrician.
No, not
wired.
It's a 150-year-old house or something. It's built it was still different water fountains. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like it was was built during Prohibition or something.
It's like we're trying to put Wi-Fi in Abe Lincoln's hat. It just doesn't work.
And like it's just all. And then so I looked at it, and also there was always
we bought the wrong doorknobs. We brought the wrong ring.
Matt, we always need to cut and run quick. Yeah. We start just putting down roots. I can't we're the.
So my house in the mountains, in the master bath, the floors are heated.
Yes.
So you walk in, you turn the thermostat on. You can turn. There's a dry sauna you could turn on and use the sauna.
We don't.
Dry sauna.
Our whole house is flooded wet.
We did get a bigger toilet because we knew our listeners were going to clog it.
Our listeners have big beans.
How's that a necessity?
I went to Lowe's. I found the biggest toilet.
Tiniest bathroom though, so it's all toilet. Oops, all toilet.
Well, it touches the bathtub and the sink at the same time. Like you can't even put a piece of paper in there.
You can't put a piece of paper there. Yeah. We got the Jumbo XL is what it's called.
Yeah. But it's
we got the one that can swallow 13 pool balls in one flush.
Like it sounds like we've got pretty much the same thing going on here.
It's very similar. It's very similar. In order to be heated, our place would need floors. Next question. Take your phone outside and show me your children's feet and to see whether you could stay at our Airbnb.
So what's the plan here with this thing? Is it to try to make
hold on.
We need to get the hell out of it.
Hold on, don't get serious with it now. I only like making jokes.
He does serious. Look at his bit. Don't you want to be like him?
No, because
the business prop.
No, because I'm just doing the show, Matt. Now we are being serious, but we're doing the show. If you start grilling me down, I'm gonna start feeling bad because I'm gonna be like, oh no, we blew it again.
Well, we didn't blow it.
You don't own the house.
No.
Correct.
You're giving all your returns to Airbnb because they take like 80% or something.
Yes.
Sure.
90%.
Yeah,
90. This doesn't seem like a good plan here.
Well,
we didn't really have
no plan, Van.
We didn't really have a plan. We just said that'd be cool. We always
exactly what it was.
Yeah, that's most of it. We're like, we want to do this.
We're like, that'd be cool.
Yeah. It's essentially printing.
We're like, how can we do more work for less money?
Yeah. It's you start a business, you print the shirts first. That's what this is.
Shirts first.
Yeah, you get the logo and the T-shirts first.
And then you go, all right, we got the shirts. Let's get down to business, Rick Scott.
But it's a proof of concept, and it's like if we had if we do the next version, we will buy.
He just made the mummy noise.
He did.
Because
let me explain to you how I envision this. So this might help you, Tom.
Okay.
So this house is a lot of money, right? And I actually got kind of lucky because the guy who owns it is really wealthy, and so he financed it. So I put 20% down, and then it's owner financed. So I didn't have to go through a bank, or we didn't have to get appraisals and all that junk. But I have a 15-year loan on it. And so at the end of 15 years, theoretically, if I didn't pay any extra, I would own the thing. But the purpose of this is not to make a bunch of rental income. The purpose of this would be to hopefully the renters or the borrowers could cover the cost of it. So in 10 or 15 years, I own the property outright. But the main purpose of this is to showcase and to create content, create videos showing a lot of people some cool stuff that you could do, and then of course to include certain people who are bought in to want to go and experience it, and of course they'll share their experience, and so the concept there would be that if I can cover the cost of the house where I don't lose a bunch of money each year on it, I get to go there in between, periodically and shoot some videos and create some content, but then I have some diversity in assets because I don't like real estate's not like a passion of mine. And so this is a way for me to have a passion for real estate because I really do like houses and I like putting cool stuff in them. And so if I had 10 or 12 of these or 15 of these throughout the country, I'd love to do like Montana. I'd love to do like New Smyrna. I'd probably do one around here somewhere on the lake, like Lake Weir or something like that, or maybe the Butler chain, so people could go to Disney and come visit HQ and just do them at cool places, throughout the country as I discovered them.
That was our plan too. We wanted multiple. Want multiple.
Matt, what you're describing, I've thought of
multiple trash installations all across America. These little Tom and Dan trap houses.
Everything you're saying, Matt, I'm with you. I believe I've told Sam and Daniel that this whole plan, whatever. And then
you're more like depressed garage.
But it's like when you're poor and you're looking at jet skis.
I'm going to get one of these, and then next I'll be president of the United States.
It's always like unattainable weirdo goals.
Like
it's weird goals.
Yeah. I think what what happened was we don't have the net liquidity in our bank accounts to make the dream happen.
What's 20% of 80,000? I mean, isn't that what you're looking at? Like $80,000 houses? That's 16 grand. You can't come up with that.
There's no $80,000 houses anymore, Matt. That's the problem. Like every house that's worthwhile is $500,000 now, and then even in Sanford, it's the
and this
300.
This wasn't even for sale, really.
No, it wasn't. Yeah, but if like we wanted to do it with the beach house, we thought about the same. I mean, this has been idea a long time ago, but the problem with Florida real estate has gone up. Every house is 500, and then it's like, all right, well, you need 20% of 500, then you need to put another, at least 20 into it to make it cool, Tom and Dan, and then it's like, all right. I have a problem, Matt, too, where I'll come up with these ridiculous ideas, and my wife, Daniel, Sam, they'll all look at me, and they'll think it sounds good, but it's coming from this guy who's got a track record that we know, and it could be a ridiculous gamble that he may not have thought about.
You are the human equivalent of Hogan's Beak Shack. You are a Hogan's Beak Shack.
When Hulk Hogan tells you his business ideas, even if it's good, you're like, but you're wearing a bandana, a skullet.
Yeah, like if he's standing there and he's like, hey, brother, I have a cure for cancer, brother. You'd be like, no, you don't.
I saw the pizza video. You know what I'm saying? Like, they've seen the videos, Matt, and you can't get it out of your mind.
I think I know the part you're missing. Yeah, I spent 30 days of design and organization and structure before I went there. Before the closing of the house.
Oh, we just ran around Home Goods grabbing things wildly. We're like, pillows, get that couch, get that. We gotta go. We gotta go.
You're missing the spreadsheet. You need a couple spreadsheets, with some ideas, some budgeting, a little bit of budgeting, right?
We either I would say that our style is to we usually either procrastinate. We usually either procrastinate until we don't get it done, or we go so fast that we screw it up.
Well, I did bring Sam there one day, and
like 3 days in a row.
Was it 3 days? Oh, that was one day, and we're trying to hang pictures, and then I hung them all wrong.
I tried to tell you,
and they almost fell on against one the second night.
They're not hung exactly the safest way.
Tom, he's a one hanger guy, isn't he, Daniel? Or do you put?
It was a tiny nail, tiny nail in the middle.
You know what he does? He does one nail and then he hangs it on the frame. He leads the frame. Yes. He leads the frame on the nail. So then the cheap frame that we bought, because he won't let me buy anything good, will stretch out, and you'll see those little flip tabs that you push in to hold the cardboard in, because all we buy is cheap garbage. You know what? We deserve every ounce of in that place. I wanted to say it once. I wanted to laugh and play.
All right, so Matt, enough with us here, because everybody knows our downfalls and what we're doing.
Lord, I feel terrible about myself.
Fascinated by this.
No. When you look, but it's like a TLC.
It's him watching Reverse Hoarders.
Yeah.
He's watching. He's like,
oh my God.
He's like, look at their poop toilet. Oh wow. Oh God. Look at him. Look how horrible they are. He can't stop watching it. In fact, what if it started changing his business? The guys are like, what are you doing in there, Matt? He's like, are you watching Tom and Dan again and their horrible videos?
So Matt, it's for the audience that you have that are car guys that are obsessed with their garage. They want the ultimate experience as close as to what you got as possible, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of there's really two demographics. There's the really affluent that has experienced what I've experienced, where it doesn't matter how much money you spend, places you go to are uncomfortable, and like I said, you can spend $2,000 a night and have mismatched forks and garbage and crappy appliances and things like that. Because when you go to a rental's designed to make as much money as possible. And so this concept appeals to them because they can go and feel like they're at home because they have stuff similar that they probably bought from me that they have at home. And so they can go to the mountains and rip around. And then the other demographic is the 20 and 30 something who will get, maybe two of them together. So man, you rent this mansion that would normally cost $15,000 a week. You can rent for 5 or 6, get 2 of you together, $3,000 a piece, spend 7 days there. You can immerse yourself in all of the things you're aspiring to own. They can wash their car. They can use the, I'll have like phase 2 and 3 where I have closets and a racing simulator and all kinds of the other stuff.
Did you know he's building a racing simulator?
That's awesome. How do you make sure they don't steal your tools? Because I wanted to put a Nintendo Switch in our Airbnb, and then I was like, no, they'll steal that good. So
these are people that return their card. This is the people that if they borrowed your screwdriver, they would return it cleaner and nicer than when they got it. And if they didn't, they'd buy you a new one. These are my people. These are
we should have started with those people.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's like like in the beginning of a video game, you get to choose your character, and I feel like we went the path of the thief.
Yeah.
You choose the thief. They're like, you can either choose King or the Valkyrie or the Wizard.
You have a bunch of them. They're just afraid to admit that they, like me, like I don't admit that I'm a, Tom and Dan listener, fan.
No, a lot of people. We're the guilty pleasure. The people are like,
yeah. Like if my wife listened to what you guys, she would, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Oh my God, that'd be bad.
Mother Teresa, Christian lady, if she knew the shenanigans that you guys, words that were coming out of your mouth.
I know, it's terrible.
Here, she would,
it's terrible.
And the only ones willing to admit it are Mike B and Tully and Tactical Hat. Everybody's out.
You could have just stopped with Mike B. That's a great example.
And old Mike, eat my wife's pee. They're all
we have a listener that was yelling
they'll scream it from the rooftops, and I'm like, stop.
Don't say that.
Stop screaming.
My daughter's teacher's here.
Anyway, so Matt, I'm curious to what the end result, like the end phase will be, and then we'll end with I want you to explain to Daniel what kind of floor to get, because I see you could have you could buy garage floors off your site, but he was worried that they're too fancy for him.
Yeah, like sometimes I think if I get into something a little too fancy, then I'm not going to be able to fully utilize it because I would need to purchase all these other things, and I don't want to half-ass it.
What was the first question?
Phase 4 of the house, at the end.
Yeah, so phase 1 was to get it set up, and then I'm actually going up in 2 weeks to build a gym, like a CrossFit style gym outside, and take the second step of the home theater. So I'm putting an 83-inch OLED and mounting the rear speakers. I'm doing Dolby Atmos, I think 7.4.2. So it'll be 7 channels surround, the 4 overhead height channels, and 2 subwoofers. And so I'm going to put that together. The next phase of the home theater, there's a vault, like a walk-in vault in this house, and I'm going to turn it into a snack vault. So I'm going to, because I don't have anything to put in it, and so I'm going to turn that into snow caps and fill it with old school, like at Cracker Barrel, all those old school awesome 80s 60s 70s 80s candy and all that crap.
Oh, so you're gonna have your own you're building obsessed Cracker Barrel. Oh my God, I'm walking around in there's a dancing Santa Claus, there's a peppermint stick, there's a Toby Keith piss cutter hat,
a raccoon ball with a tail,
a snow globe.
And then I started doing because I hate dealing with closet organization. These companies, the way it works is you go to the store, and then you meet with the lady, and the lady comes to your house, and then they do a design for you, and then you go back, and the design is terrible, and I always tell them this is all wrong, here's what I want, and then they redesign it, and this whole time they never talked about what it cost, and then at the end of it, your closet's $28,000, and then you walk out all mad because there's no way you're paying that. And so the next phase 3 and 4, will be I'm going to do my closet systems in there. So I found a closet system that we design, and people can just order and install it themselves instead of having to jerk around with these goofy Closet Made and all these goofy companies. California Closets, it's a total racket. And so we'll do all that, and then I'm building an insane outdoor kitchen with like a pizza oven and all that kind of stuff.
You have an outdoor kitchen, Tom. Tell them about yours.
No, come on.
Well, we just talked about it yesterday, so it is topical.
Yeah, I mean, I rusted...
he probably knows the brand. What brand do you have?
Well, it's a the artisan grill.
That's good. Yeah, artisan. That's a alfresco, which is alfresco. What's a cheaper alfresco? But yeah, that's a good grill.
Well, I got it from a BDM.
It was stolen. It's a stolen grill.
It was not stolen.
I'm going to hammer this until
it had a scratch on it, and Disney
the police come and get
Disney wrote it off. So then it was it was going to be thrown away.
You didn't tell me it's a. You
didn't tell me that Mickey Mouse gave me a grill.
Stole a grill from Mickey Mouse.
No, and then I paid him $700 cash. I didn't realize that
I need that back
from lack
of. It's like a $3,000 or $4,000 grill. That's pretty.
Yeah, well, now it is.
Well, the inside's rusted out, and then I went to go buy the new insides.
How is that possible? It's made of stainless steel.
Well, the outside it looks great. All the insides is made of rusted steel.
He drilled holes in it.
No, all the burners are rusted, and the briquettes they all fell through.
The briquettes are broken.
And then I looked at the replacement parts, and it's $100 a briquette tray. And then $400 for the burners. It's $1,000 to replace the guts of this damn thing.
Yes, it is.
And then I was like, what? $1,000? I just got the dang Walmart $280, and it comes as wheels. I can put it wherever I want.
One time I went to
have like a wheeled one, the wheel in front of it to use.
No, I was going to say, Matt, one time at a party, he put and it's the cheapest brand you can buy. What is it? It's called, what's the, Charbroil. It was the Charbroil, and it's the one that's just the cheap piping, and it's got the little plastic tables on the side. They only have one side plastic table. You can barely fit a glass of water on the side of this thing. He had it set up in front of his artisan, and he's back there grilling, so you couldn't see. He'd put the artisan up, and you'd think he's back there using the artisan. He's not. He's on the Charbroil.
Well, the burners are $700.
But you didn't need to lie to your guests.
Anyway, so Matt, let's
ask a pressure washer question.
Well, the floors because Daniel
Okay.
Daniel was going to go with the glitter, the glitter floors,
the standard
floor,
the standard, the epoxy grandpa floors.
And then I was like, no, Matt knows, like you got to do whatever Matt does. Like you
I'm not a Matt. I'm little,
but you want to aspire to be that, right? Like these gambling guys that I follow, I want to be as good as they are.
I said it earlier. But I really think I got a thing with this depressed garage channel I'm starting on YouTube.
I have an it's called Obsessed Garage on a Budget. There's like 4,000 people in there, and all they do is rip on me all day. I'm not in there, but they talk about how I'm evil and horrible and how everything's overpriced.
4,000 people, my God.
It's more than we have.
Oh, my God.
You have more haters than we have supporters.
Floor. So here's the deal, right? So option one is polished concrete. Lowe's, Home Depot, they have polished concrete. It's usually polished and sealed. The problem with polished concrete is when inevitably when you pour oil or something on there, it doesn't, still seeps into the concrete, so it still makes a mess. Polished concrete's also kind of slippery, and you have to polish it periodically. They run those machines through the stores all the time to keep it looking nice.
Gotcha.
So polished concrete is what you see in a lot of really high end, like dream garages and stuff like that. But you can even polish it down to where you can see the particulate and like the grain in the concrete and stuff. So there's some cool things to do that you could do to make it look good, but not really practical. Another thing you could do is burnish, which is like a chemical treatment.
I've seen
so you
that.
polish and then you put this burnishing in, and that's what helps with the stains and things like that. That's a pretty expensive process. Those are pretty uncommon. What's really common in the garage is either you paint it with like a Rust-Oleum from Home Depot, which is a terrible idea because it eventually peels up. That's probably what you have.
Yeah.
And then the other option is to do epoxy. And there's different types of epoxy. There's polyaspartic, and there's the traditional epoxy, and then you can put urethane top coats. The problem with those is they have like I would say probably 20 to 40% chance of failure. And all these companies will warranty them, but it's like having a warranty on your heart. Like, what good is you're still going to die? I mean, what good's the warranty?
Yeah.
The floor fails, you can't fix it. You'd have to come diamond grind the floor and start over, and they're never going to do that. You can't just come sprinkle a little more fairy dust on it. So warranty is useless on epoxy. The problem with epoxy is that in order to make it look decent, that's when they put the little sprinkles all over it. The sprinkles are to take your attention away from the fact that it looks terrible.
Gotcha.
Because you can't. I mean, you're rolling on the floor and bugs are flying in there. It's really hard to get a really great epoxy job done without imperfections. And so they put the chip systems in order to take your attention away from the imperfection, the bubbles and the roller marks and all that stuff. And so that's why they do chips. And so the chips look like your grandma's garage. And so now what they do is they just put more chips. And the problem with epoxy is it's slippery, and so then they can put an anti-skid agent. But if you put anti-skid, basically they're just putting sand in it, then that attracts dirt, and you can't really clean it. And so after a while, it gets really dirty, and it's got a 40% chance of failing. And so what I do in garages is either do porcelain tile, which is you're not going to do. It's $20 or $30 a square foot. Yeah. So you're talking $10,000 to do your normal size garage. I think the best solution is to do plastic interlocking tile. So Swiss tracks is what you do. Doesn't matter what your garage looks like. Doesn't matter how much money you put in it. It can make any garage look better. So it's 3/4 of an inch thick. It's about. What is it now? It's like $4.50 a square foot or something like that. $4.50 a square foot. But you can install it yourself. You can take it with you because you can just pop the floor. It just floats. You don't glue it down.
Oh, gotcha.
And so all the dirt, and you'll love this, Daniel. So the dirt falls through it. And that freaks people out. They're like, well, what about the dirt? And so, then you vacuum it like once a year.
Okay.
Great for So if you get oil or something on it, you just pop a tile. The tiles are like 15 3/4 by 15 3/4. You pop it up, and you spray some all-purpose cleaner on. You clean it off. Just hose it off. And so the magic of that type of floor is that you can cut it with a circular saw and install it. Like you could do a 2-car garage in like 2 hours and have it installed. You just Tom, it might take all day because you got to get all the junk out first.
Well, I'll just tile around that.
Yeah. He tiles around the boxes. He only going to need 3 tiles.
I just need a path. It's really just paths.
How much for a path tile?
Yeah. I just need.
So I think Swiss Tracks is the best option. Right. There's another competitor called Race Deck, which isn't as good. Their interlocking system isn't as good. But I do it in all my garages, and I'm not a huge fan of plastic tile. But because it's 3/4 of an inch thick, it doesn't feel like you're walking on plastic. It feels more substantial.
Gotcha.
And then it's always clean. In Florida, we have those little baby oak leaves that get everywhere.
Yes.
And they always blow to the back of your garage. And so because the tiles have little ribs, they never make it that far. So you don't have to do any maintenance. That's the best part about it.
Yeah, I get little leaves and sand in my garage, and we're out of time. I'm sorry.
No,
man, I love talking to you, man. I've missed this.
Matt, let's do it again soon. Of course, everybody can find your content Obsessed Garage on YouTube.
Yeah, link to it in the show notes.
Matt, we'll talk to you soon, okay?
Yeah, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, take care, man. That is Matt Mormon live from his own Obsessed Garage.
Yeah.
That guy's cool, man.
It's congratulations with all the success.
What a nice man.
He's driven.
And I really appreciate him taking time because, he's super duper busy, and we got to take a break.
Yep, bye-bye. Welcome to A Corporate Time with Tom and Dan. I'm Tom.
I am Dan. Samantha, our producer's here. Hello, Sam.
Hello.
Now, let's jump right into it because it's not very often that we get to, I got to be delicate here. You and I normally play the role on this show of kind of remember when, and we kind of walk through our journey through radio, our journey throughout media, and, because I've been doing radio for how long now?
Well,
25 years?
I don't even count you doing radio now because you started in radio.
We're still on the radio.
Yeah, but now we're doing new media and podcasting and kind of like our guests are.
Well, our guests are also dabbling in that, but they're also very much like us. They came from the time when you could cut tape and you were sitting in the big studio and you had the hundreds of, if not millions of dollars of equipment surrounding you. And maybe now you can do it out of your own little home or your own basement or your own man cave. And on the line with us today, Fritz, Coleman, and Louise Polanco. Am I saying your last name correct?
You are, perfectly.
Yes, and they are on the line with us, and we'll get into a little bit about their podcast. It's called Media Path Podcast. And hey, guys, thanks for the time today. We appreciate it.
We're happy to be with you. You guys do a good job.
Thanks.
Yep, I went to school in Winter Park, Florida for 2 years.
Oh, wow.
Oh, awesome.
Would you go to Rollins?
I did.
Very nice. That's a fancy school. You got to know what you're doing to even get through the doors of Rollins.
I didn't know what I was doing. I think I accidentally joined a sorority and then quit, and so I had to leave town.
So, Fritz and Louise, let's talk about your background, because you both have traditional media backgrounds and now you're doing a podcast. So let's just talk about, like, how you even got into media.
Oh, I grew up in Buffalo, New York, suburban Buffalo, New York, went to Rollins College. Then I moved out to California to get into show business. I heard that they had that out there. And I got a job as a page, which is it's like you're a fancy usher. You wear polyester and you seat the studio audiences. And then that led to me getting a job on a show called PM Magazine, which led to me being hired by Rick Dees to write the Rick Dees Weekly Top 40, which led to me starting a company called Premier Radio Networks, which is now a division of iHeartMedia. And here I am podcasting, trying to keep up with kids.
Well, Louise, and I'm sure Fritz knows this too, but let's talk about like internships and pages and things in the entertainment business, because I was a radio intern at one time. And
I also a radio intern. Samantha also a radio intern.
And I know this even in TV and stuff. All the interns in like TV
NBC,
and radio,
ABC,
they never do what they're there to learn to do. All they do is run around, get people's coffee, and drive people around. It's like, well, I'm not learning how to do anything in this business. I'm just getting coffee and driving people around. But it's like that you have to pay your dues to then get into where they start teaching you actually how to do that profession. But it starts off with just driving and coffee.
So what I recommend,
you know what? And now, but it's got to the point now. I don't know if it's a law. I think it's a law in the state of California. You have to pay the interns. So I know at NBC, where I recently retired from, the interns are paid. But I have a great intern story.
All right.
So we had an intern by the name of Chris Licht, who was a news intern, and he was one of these guys who had the butt kissing skill honed to a PhD. He was a master at it. And he started out in the news department, and then he went over to the sports department, and then they transferred him back to MSNBC, where he produced the morning news. And then he did such a good job there, they sent him over to CBS Morning News to produce the morning news. And then they produced the evening news on CBS with him. And then he went on to produce the Stephen Colbert Show. Wow. And now the butt-kissing intern is the head of CNN, Chris Licht.
Yeah.
He's the brand new CEO at So my lesson today is, kids, don't be too ashamed to kiss butt to get ahead.
Wow. Some would say kiss butt, and I knew the name as soon as you said it. Some would say kiss butt. Others would say, and I used to use this term with my mom because, she would ask about how my day was going, especially when I was an intern. Like my mom and dad were very integral, and like I was a young kid. And I would say I'm playing the game. I wouldn't say I'm like.
I would also say be indispensable. Be somebody who just does whatever is asked of you. Go get coffee, go pick up the dry cleaning, and watch what people are doing and figure out which one of those jobs or careers would work for you, and just be indispensable, and then do things that no one else wants to do until they give you something that you would like to do. It's really just about learning and growing and developing relationships.
But not everybody does that. What you're talking about means that these people will, not to sound like dumb old man, which I'm about to. A lot of people have a hard time doing exactly or executing exactly what you said, because they're going to have to do some things they don't like to do.
And that's life.
Well, go ahead, Louise.
I mean, you do things you don't like to do around the house. You do the dishes because you'd like to have a sink without a pile of dishes. So
correct.
This is just what life is. So I say dig in, get there early, be the last one to leave. Don't be the person that says, oh, someone else will finish it. You finish it. Be a finisher, because everyone's watching you, whether or not they're complimenting you every day. They're noticing you. And this guy, Chris, that Fritz talked about, people were looking at that kid and going, that kid's sharp.
Do you think
he's sharp as a tack?
Do you think
he was just a shameless butt kisser? And
he was
anyway. But now he's solid. But another thing about internships, because I worked at a television station for 40 years, which is in Los Angeles, the world's second largest market. And
well, it's not just any station, right? You worked at KNBC, not to interrupt, right?
KNBC, right? Yeah, and the thing about that was we had journalism students and broadcast students from USC, UCLA, Pepperdine, all these schools. And the beauty of having an internship at the news department at Channel 4 was it also helped you discover if this is the last place you want to spend your career.
Right.
I mean, you go to college for 4 years or even longer with a graduate degree, and you get straight A's, and then you go work in the business and realize, oh my God, I hate this.
Yeah.
I am not designed emotionally or physically to work in this business. So an internship is also a great way to discover what you don't want to do as well as what you want to do.
You just described my wife and how I fell in love with her. She was working at an easy listening station when I was working at a talk station, and she liked the idea of presenting, music that was beautiful and then talking in between there, but the politics of working within radio and how competitive it was and the hours were just not something she liked. So she exited. But you're exactly right. She did one internship and learned that she would probably be better suited in other things and moved on.
No.
So Fritz,
save your parents a lot of money.
Yeah. Fritz, I'm curious because you are a weather reporter in Los Angeles and
twice, didn't you? You came back.
No, I did I did a 2 weeks shy of 40-year stretch.
There, oh my crazy! God, that's insane.
So,
congratulations, man. That's awesome.
I'm curious.
It's the greatest scam since Bernie Madoff.
Well, Chris, Fritz, sorry. I'm curious because in Los Angeles, there's occasional rain. Yeah, exactly. Well, that's all I want to ask. Because I grew up in my... Yeah.
From April to October, it's morning clouds and fog, hazy afternoon sun, high in the low 70s. What was the question? So your job as a weatherman is to think up new adjectives and new ways to describe the same weather pattern that lasts for 6 months. If you can do that and pretend every day you've never said those words before, then you're locked.
Well, I was about to say, because that gives you a bunch of reps improvising and how to present the same thing in a captivating way and a way to get your personality out there to get people like you. Because obviously you had such a long stretch, people liked you.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? So there's something to be said about this. I grew up in Miami. It's like when the hurricane season came, you were
you're on call.
Brian Norcross. Was that, with the sleeves rolled up?
He was on the air for 48 hours with Katrina or something like that, some insane period of time.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing about L.A. Here's my story, and real weathermen hate this story. I mean, meteorologists hate this story. But I was hired as a comedian. I worked at the Comedy Store. My old boss saw me perform on stage there and wanted somebody just to come and have fun during the weather. So one night after a show, he and his wife were in the audience. He asked me if I would be interested in auditioning to do the weekend weather. And I said, I'm making $45 a night at the Comedy Store. When do you want me to start?
Right.
So
Wow.
But that was in the day when the evening newscast was conversational. It wasn't, it's not science oriented. Now you have, everybody's concerned about global warming, and everybody has to have an AMS seal, that little seal in the lower right-hand corner that says you have a bachelor's degree in atmospheric science. I don't have any of that. I never would have been able to get into the business if they required that of me when I started. My job was to be amusing. My job was to be the palate cleanser between the tragedy and the sports. That was it. There was no, and here's a little weather for you in the midst of our conversation. So you're right. There's no weather here.
Well, that's super interesting.
That is cool. Crazy.
Yeah. So did you go to school? Did you have to take a course or a meteorology or anything?
No, there are only 4 repeating weather patterns in Southern California, and on-the-job training teaches you those in about 10 days. And then again, it's just it's presenting it in a friendly, approachable way. You're telling people what they already know. So many times I wanted to go on the air and say, if you want to know the weather, look out the window.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Step out your front door.
So how do we have a weatherman comedian comes from the Comedy Store, 40 years,
40 years.
And then we have the lifer radio producer, Premier Network.
Documentarian.
How do you guys come into each other's universe to create the podcast Media Path? How does this happen?
It was a weather pattern. We just kind of we accumulated offshore, and when we hit land, we started making stuff together.
Yeah.
So Fritz had I went to see Fritz's play. He does one-man shows. I mean, he takes comedy to the next level where he presents one-man plays where, people think and cry and laugh and come away a whole new person. And he was doing a play about fatherhood, and I had some ideas about how we could maybe turn that into a TV show. So we started talking, and the next thing I know, I'm producing his next play and his next play, and now we're podcasting together. So we've really been friends for how long, Fritz?
35 or 40 years, I think.
Yeah. That's awesome, though, man. That is so cool.
Louise, I have to ask you, because you started podcasting in 2005, which is early.
They say that's the year
that it really started.
Oddly enough,
we had the first podcast.
Hold on, you had the first podcast?
It's the first podcast. We invented the technology. And we plugged something in, and the next thing you know, you could get it on your...
I would believe that, because 0405 is what people say was the beginning of podcasting. There are some people that say that, you have the old Adam Curry, that people say that, he was the first to do it.
Yeah.
But 0405 is really when things started. Yeah. We started in 09, so we're like old-timers.
Yeah, you are. No, what happened was I said to my partner, Craig Kitchen at Premiere, I said, what's the likelihood that I would ever have my own show? Because I think I'm delightful.
Yeah.
And and he said 0. He said 0, and then he said, I have 2 words for you: podcast. Because he thought they were 2 words, and at the time he may have.
Louise, I mean,
I was like, what is that? And and I love that around 2005 you could put stuff on your computer, and you could make music, and you could make a movie, and you could make radio. That was around when do you guys remember how exciting that was? That you could take the thoughts in your mind and make them a thing?
Like the flip camera was the little camera that you remember I had 100 of those. Like it really was. There was like a sweet spot for thinking, oh my God, look at this blank canvas I have that I can do anything with.
By the way, Louise, did he really have to say 0? Because there are
that's what radio guys are heads. That's what they say.
Because there are very few things in the world that are statistically 0 likely to happen. You know what I'm saying? Like even
that's true.
There is a percentage you can get struck by lightning while being eaten by a shark. Like it's not 0.
Those guys they're like my brothers, my partners at Premiere, Steve Lehman, Tim Kelly, Ed Mann. Those guys are my brothers. So that's they gave me the business a lot. So that was. In his mind, that was the likelihood, at least while he was in charge,
So, Louise, I want to ask you, when you started doing your podcast, because you're exactly right. Same thing with me and Daniel. Like, we worked in traditional morning show radio, and we wanted to do our own show, and we looked at what the likelihood of us doing our own show, having our own show on radio, and it was like, well, if we busted our ass and grinded for the next 10 years, when someone dies, we'll get a show. Yeah. Like, that's how radio works.
We'll be doing overnight.
Yeah, we'll be doing overnights, and then when the host of the afternoons finally retires,
we're not going to get afternoons. We go to middays then. It'd be middays, then afternoon drive, then morning show.
But basically, what we're saying is we looked at that, and Daniel had a studio where let's do a podcast, and then we released it on the internet, and people started listening. Hence, that was the beginning of our show. But I remember when we were doing that at the time, traditional radio people would scoff at it and be like, "Well, this is nothing. This is never going to go anywhere," and it always blew my mind, because I'm like, well, this is basically talk radio, but on demand, uncensored, and you can now listen to it whenever you want. I think
you can pause it.
I always thought it was better.
You can pause it. It's a streaming version of radio. It's obviously where things were going to be heading. How did they not see that?
That's what I say.
Oh my
Louise.
God, Louise, you sound exactly like this guy. He screams it every morning when he wakes up.
I'm just mad that they scoffed at it and didn't think it was anything. I'm like, what do you mean? This is everything that is radio, but better. It technically, I know it's not, it doesn't have a giant corporation behind it, but if anybody can get it on their smartphone, which everybody has, why wouldn't this be a thing? Yeah. And people are like, nah, there was nothing.
But, I got to say, you guys proved a good point about podcasting, and ours in particular. The reason why Weezy and I enjoy doing our show is we've been friends. We also have similar opinions about everything: our politics, movies, books, streaming content. So it's a natural launch point for our conversation every week. And what I've often said is, you can't manufacture chemistry. You guys have found a nice chemistry over the years, and if that doesn't work, you're screwed. Weezy and I just have a chemistry because we understand one another's thought process pretty much, and that's what makes it pleasant to listen to. But you can put two. I saw it so many times in my in my career in the news where they jam two people together, a male and a female anchor, thinking, "Ooh, they're going to be he looks like this and she looks like this. They're going to be great." No, it's oil and water. You cannot manufacture chemistry. So if you have chemistry like you guys do, it's 50% of the battle, and the rest you can work on.
Yeah, you're right. Now, Fritz, back to being a weather reporter, weatherman for 40 years.
I mean, it's like that's exactly what David Letterman did, right? Like, didn't he go comedian, weatherman, talk show? I mean,
you had to have seen some stuff in
they live in L.A. They've seen some stuff.
Well, but on the air and arguments and the old bloopers and people failing and saying the wrong thing, and I'm sure you've seen tons of that, correct?
Oh yeah. People have a hard time believing me when I say this, and I don't know the reason for this, but I worked with people who anchored newscasts who had egos bigger than any Hollywood movie star.
Yeah, I believe.
And somebody said, "Why do you think that is?" I mean, okay, a couple of thousand people know this person. If they go in the grocery store, people know it's them. And I think, and this in radio. Actually, I didn't think about this, but this works in radio too.
Oh, yeah.
An ego expands to the space it's given. So in television news, all these anchor people are kowtowed to. They have makeup artists and they have clothing people and everybody, and you're Mr. This and Mr. That. And so they get a false sense of their importance, and it goes haywire after a while.
Yeah.
So I've worked with some people who were unbelievable. I won't mention the name.
I gotcha.
Judd Apatow has been a friend of mine for years. Before he started his great writing and producing career, he was a host at the Improv, which is one of the clubs I work in L.A.
Yeah.
And Adam McKay, the guy that directed Anchorman, and I went to the same high school. So these guys took me out to lunch one day. It was a 3-hour lunch, and they just wanted to ask me questions about, this is before Anchorman came out, they just wanted to ask me questions about this Anchorman that we worked with, and it was hysterical. And at the end of the 3-hour period, he said, we love what you've contributed to us today. The problem is, if we write any of this into the script, nobody will believe it. They'll think we're making it up and we're exexaggerating the truth.
Yeah.
Because it's just off the chain.
You actually got a
credit at the end.
Yeah,
of the
you
movie.
got a credit. Yeah.
That is because it's so absurd, and Louise knows probably too, working in radio, because
my God.
Radio show hosts are like this, but not as good looking. So I think the TV guys get a bigger ego because they're good looking.
Well, at least at the end of the day, they can look in the mirror and be like, "All right."
The radio guys, they can wear a hockey jersey, but
what do they got? A pair of sunglasses does nothing.
But the ego, but that's what attracts them to this industry, right? To be on TV, to be in radio, it's like it makes sense that you're like, what? How did these people get here? Who are these human beings? But Louise, I say all the time, if a radio host walks into a room, and like a traditional radio host,
you mean like a shock jock or a morning show guy?
Yeah, mainly morning show guys. That's just my experience. But I can tell when they start talking, not even by their voice, but how the way they are,
how they carry themselves.
Because there's an insane ego, but also they're reserved too, where they either they're on and they're on-air personality, or they're hiding in the corner. It's a weird thing.
Well, they work in a vacuum. They work in that room all alone, and there's nobody there to slap them back into reality.
I work with a lot of radio guys, and when you guys were talking about how good looking the anchors are, they're very good looking. But the radio guys have that voice, and they know that when people hear that voice, there's a response to it. So Fritz and I were friends with Gary Owens, the nicest gentleman in the world. But when that guy spoke, people just went, "Oh my God!"
Yeah.
So there you get into an elevator and you hear the radio guy tell you what floor. Whoever it is, that radio guy knows that people are just going to get floored by the actual tonality of his voice.
Yeah, that's the bulk of his performance. But also, and I know you guys probably feel the same way. What I love in this business is running into somebody who's extremely talented, famous or talented, but they're comfortable in their own skin, and they just treat you like another human being. Wheezy and I have many friends. Henry Winkler is a great example of that. This enormously talented person, no bigger name in the history of television, and there's not a nicer man on the planet. There's not a person who treats people with more respect and talks to them at eye level than Henry. I love people like that.
Yeah, everybody says that Henry is just like the nicest, kindest man, and it's confirmed hundreds of times by all these different celebrities, and including you guys and friends of his that just say, oh, yeah, that guy's legit, and he is exactly what he says he is. I mean, you guys have worked with, like, some of the biggest and best stars. What would you say some of the biggest stars you've ever worked with or met? Is there one? Can you even pinpoint that? Because you
Louise,
guys collectively have been in the business for like 80 years.
Louise, I got to ask you the one question though. It's not on the official bio of what we were supposed to talk about, but we didn't say we weren't supposed to talk about it. But you were in the Michael
is a
Jackson
sharp cookie. She'll smack you down if you're not allowed to ask.
And just tell me, but you were in the Michael Jackson trial, and I have to ask you about how this whole, how that happened.
That's huge.
It's a really long story, but I'll just see if I can thumbnail this for you. I was working at the Laugh Factory doing comedy, and Jamie Masada, the owner of the Laugh Factory, started a program on Saturdays for kids that were at risk to teach them comedy. That's awesome. I love comedy, and I love teaching, so for me that was a great fit. So I would spend my Saturdays down there, and I met this kid and his family. And then about that Christmas came around, and Fritz and I brought that family gifts for Christmas because they all were living in one room. And then a couple months after that, the mom called me, and she's screaming and crying, Gavin has cancer. And I'm just like, did you just say your husband's name? Like, because I thought I heard you say Gavin. And, because it wasn't, Gavin was 8, or 10, whatever he was. It just didn't make any sense to me. Anyway, we run down to the hospital, and and Gavin had a year of like adult doses of chemo, and somewhere in that process, someone introduced him to Michael Jackson, and he wound up being in this video called Living with Michael Jackson. It was a documentary, and Gavin was getting healthy. We thought he was going to die, and so he went up there, and I thought, let him go up there. I mean, people kind of in music sort of know that Michael Jackson, you shouldn't let your kids around Michael Jackson. I mean,
it felt like a known thing.
Yeah. Like, even if I didn't know anything about Michael Jackson, I'd be like, the weirdo.
Like if I walked into a room, I didn't know who it was, and I walked into the room and I'm looking around, and then I got Sam, and then let's say I have Louise, and then I have Fritz, and I have you, and I'm looking, and then over here in the corner, I have a man dressed like Captain Crunch, his nose falling off. And then, he's dressed, he got an Admiral jacket on. He's got he's got one glove, a sparkle glove on, an Admiral jacket, and a fedora. But let's give the kid. I'll leave my daughter with you guys, but you, sir, you could just stay where you're at.
But he does have a sweet train.
That train.
You can ride the train and stuff, but you're sleeping here with me at home. You're not sleeping over. So
I'm so sorry you had to be a part of that.
The whole thing got dangerous when Gavin got healthy, and anyway, it led to Gavin being molested, and Fritz and I were both witnesses for the prosecution.
Oh my God.
How around that time, I'm sure it was a media crazy circus, and but it was, at the time there was less social media, if any at all, and the news was different, and it's like so much has changed right now.
Look, where you can say anything you want, Tom. It's a baller move at a court case to get up on top of the limousine's roof with an umbrella in your hand and spin around. The baller move.
I'll tell you about the point you're making. People, I was recognizable in LA media, so people knew I was involved in the Michael Jackson trial. And I'm telling you, I was getting calls 24 hours a day for several weeks.
I bet.
It was crazy. It was really crazy. But what Wheezy's too humble to say was that Tom Mesereau, who was the defense attorney in that trial.
Oh, he's the prosecutor, the DA.
I'm sorry. No, he was.
Oh, yeah. No, you're right. Tom Mesereau. Yeah, they're both named Tom. Sorry. Tom.
So he was able to deconstruct this family because Gavin's mother had a police record for shoplifting at Penny's years before, and he was able to call into question the credibility of this family. So Michael got off. But we knew Michael was guilty. And Wheezy, for years, stayed an advocate of Gavin's, helped him with his life, paid for his college. She was a devoted and lovely friend to him, way past his media heat. And it was a very sad story because we knew what had happened. That it was just one of the great examples of what a $1 million defense attorney can do, just call into question your credibility. And it was really sad. But Wheezy got this kid into adulthood, paid his way through college, was a wonderful, supportive friend to him and his entire family. It's really a touching story that nobody will find out about because he doesn't like to talk about it.
He won't talk. He talks zero. He's never made one penny off of this. He doesn't talk about it. He just wants to have a life. He's a wonderful guy. He's doing very well.
Good.
He's married, and he has never spoken about this. And, and I tell him, I don't even think you should speak about this until you're 40, until you are a man who is other things. You don't want to live your life as that kid.
Yeah.
You want to become a man.
That'll become your focal point, your whole identity. It'll take everything away from you. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
And I kind of bring that up because
man.
I want to start listening to your guys' podcast
me
just
too.
because you have had so many experiences that I'm
Not
sure...
that they're going to talk about that.
No,
but
they
be like lighter, more fun things. But still, that just gives you an ounce of the historical elements of what you guys have through this long of career.
Yeah, and let's talk about your podcast because you guys talk about, books and movies and the pop culture and everything going on, but I'm sure these things get brought up in like old stories and just your experiences in life and your careers.
Yeah, well, we call it Media Path, and the reason for that is at the beginning of every podcast, and this takes about 10 minutes, we just exchange ideas for stuff people can do. Like this week we talked about the two new movies that are about the rescue of the Thai kids that were trapped in that cave during the monsoon season.
Yeah.
We talked
One
about
was called
this.
The Rescue, and the other was called 13 Lives, that was directed by Ron Howard.
Yeah.
And so I talked about those. And then Wheezy talked about a new TV show called Virgin River. And what we do is we don't review per se. We just say, here's a great idea. And we call it Media Path because we like to lead people down this path and give them ideas on what to watch or to read in books. And if you like this idea, you'll like this idea. So that's how we start our show. And then
Fritz, Virgin River is not new. This is season 4.
I was going to say, that's not quite a new
All right, like they're doing the show. They're doing the show. They're doing it, guys. They're doing it.
It's a chick flick, and I'm too old and too male.
Yeah. So am I, Fritz. I can't.
It's so good.
I can't do
But
it.
anyway, that's what we do, and it's fun. And then we have guests on that don't necessarily have anything to do with the topics we broached at the top of the show, but they're welcome to join in the conversation about stuff.
And they have their own media path. So every guest that we have has media that they've written or are starring in or music that they've created. So, there's always a pathway to finding new and wonderful things that you can discover because this technology makes everything available to us.
Yesterday, we record on Tuesdays and we post our show on Thursdays. We interviewed an Iranian-American comedian by the name of Maz Jabrani. I don't know.
We've had him on the show.
We've had Maz on the show before.
He is unbelievable.
He's a genius.
And what came out in that interview, which is what I like about our podcast, is discovering something about somebody that you weren't aware of before you started to dig deep on them. Is this guy? This guy's a great champion for people's perception of Iranians in the United States.
Oh, yeah.
I said, you're doing more work than the State Department on making people understand your culture.
Yeah.
Because he talks about what's common in everybody's family, and it was just a pleasure. He's a smart guy, and I don't know why I brought that up.
No. Well, I'm glad you did, Fritz, because I want to talk to you both about this because we've discovered this as we've been doing podcasting, and we came from radio. and we make jokes about like TV morning shows and stuff because the comedians used to do the circuit a lot more pre-COVID, where they go on the morning show, and it seemed like in media and traditional media, everything got whittled down and corporate, and it made corporate, and it's all about the money and commercials. And where these like Maz would go on a morning TV show to promote him being at like a comedy club,
correct?
And the interview would be such nothing that it might as well be nothing, because it would be like you would only have a 3 to 4 minute hit, and then the newscaster would only be like, "Hey, Mazo, tell us where you're going to be at."
So explain to us about Iranian culture. Like, it's not going to happen.
No,
it's not going to happen.
He would do a 3 minute hit, and then they go to break or they go to weather and stuff, and
or
then
they ask the world famous question, which you never ask a comedian: what can people expect at your show tonight?
And then,
why would you even ask that?
And then
why would you ask that?
And then you guys know. And then when you can have someone on and really have a conversation with them and like learn something new, and they go to places,
get a rapport.
Yeah, and then have just a real sit down, and like that is. What, 100 times better? I mean, it's so.
That's the beauty of a podcast, right there. That you perfectly express why I love doing it. You can drill down, and it's fun.
And then traditional media, how are they ever going to compete with that when it's like they can't do that? They can't do a long sit down with Maz where they actually talk about something with substance.
No.
And then so it's like,
well, the pacing's going to be off because you only have 12 minutes or 11 minutes.
And now comedians are not even doing that anymore because they realize it's meaningless and it doesn't do anything for them. It doesn't sell any tickets. But regardless, it's like, how is traditional media? And this is going to be my final question, because you guys both worked in traditional media for so long. Like, how do they compete with this new world where everybody can produce their own content and everybody can then seek out what they want to listen to, and it's so specific.
Where do you guys think it's going? Because Tom and I try to anticipate. I mean, we never anticipated we'd ever be on camera. When we started in 2009, we were audio only. Now here we are having to add lights and cameras and editors and this and that. Like, where do you guys think things are going?
I mean, I think there might be like a better clearinghouse for radio, for streaming radio. It's like YouTube is kind of where you can go to see streaming, self-produced streaming visual content, and then have a conversation. They have the comments. In podcasting, it's everyone just goes wherever they go to get their podcasts, and there's no centralized conversation. So, I have heard that maybe Google will have you can do an image search or news search, that there'll be a podcast search, and maybe there'll be a centralized conversation around podcasts so that people enjoying the same podcasts can share those experiences. I think it may get funneled better and maybe presented better, but we're definitely in kind of like a sorting pattern. Even with the streaming media that we enjoy on an Apple TV or a Roku, it's like trying to guess, like, weren't you watching this? Do you want to continue on? No, I only clicked on that for 2 seconds. Like, stop putting that on my home screen. Like, I'm not going to finish that. We're kind of figuring it all out, but it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Sorting pattern is such a perfect way to put that, because
there's so much.
Yeah, there really is. There is so much, and like even on a YouTube, like most of their guesses, it's just not quite right when they throw stuff up there that I'm supposed to like. It's just not quite what I need.
And I'm always curious, like, how, like, there's an infinite amount of content out there, and it seems like everything's being diluted down to where, obviously, we've seen this before, where people are now watching stuff that their own opinion, like they're going to only listen to and consume stuff from someone that thinks like them, which is a dangerous game we're living in.
I'm telling you, that's where the whole deep state has been generated, from everybody being in their own echo chamber. You're 100% right with that.
So, but that's what humans like. They like confirmation bias. They like to listen to people that think like them. Which,
it's artificial comfort for sure.
So, as that gets, soon I'll be just listening to myself.
It'd be cool if like one of the things was like, instead of like, oh, you listen to this, you might like that. If one of the things that you could select to come across your screen was counterpoint.
Right. Yeah. Right. Well, that's a good idea. Like Facebook originally, I want to say like 3 months ago. I think they stopped doing it 3 months ago, and you guys probably knew this, or for a fact your editors knew, if unless you do your own editing. Facebook would allow you to put podcasts out there, and then people could comment underneath. and they launched Facebook Podcast. But it only lasted for about 3 months, and then they took it. I don't know why they took it away. They haven't said why they took it away. But what you were talking about, the idea of throwing it up there and then allowing people to discuss it, and then you could vet those discussions or pin comments, it was out there, but they took it away.
Well, maybe someone else will do it better. Maybe there'll be some new technology, like a podcasting clearinghouse type of conversation technology.
Sure.
Well, does the content keep getting diluted to the point where there's only micro audiences left? Like there's no like one giant show that everybody, it's like, you guys know podcasts, like it started with Rogan, he had a tremendous audience, obviously he got paid for it, but he doesn't have the audience he used to have. I mean, even us, like we used to have a bigger audience just because there was less podcasts. Now there's 10,000 of people doing the exact same thing me and Daniel are doing.
Yeah, and the people are more famous.
Two guys and a girl talk comedy.
You guys will appreciate this because you're in the radio business, because this was my attitude in TV. A long time ago, I stopped obsessing over the ratings. I mean, there are people who would get up and they want to see what the overnights are, and then they want to see what the sweeps numbers are, and they'd obsess. Oh my God, we went down a quarter of a point. You can't do that in podcasting because you'll get infinitely depressed. Yeah. You just have to do it because you love it, and don't look at the numbers. And over a period of time, if what you do is good and is attracting people, your numbers will gradually go up. But you, especially in podcasting, because there are 150,000 podcasts, you cannot obsess over numbers because you'll be suicidal by the end of your thought.
Yeah, sure. But also, what we realize too, it's who is listening and the quality of who is listening, how engaged they are.
It means more.
It means more than the actual number.
There's more value to them.
More quality than quantity.
So if you had 100,000 listeners that casually listen, like in and out, whatever, or 1,000 super engaged listeners that buy your products that you endorse and go to your events and like download every show, listen to every word, like that 1,000 people is worth more than the 100,000.
1,000% right. You're 1,000% right.
And marketing is starting to realize.
We're still figuring out how to quantify that too. Doing the research on that.
But it's like you guys, the people that follow you, that your hardcores, your P1s, I use that term because you guys know.
Your old radio terms.
But those people that listen to your podcast, that really enjoy it, that's super valuable. That audience that you have acquired, that engagement.
And it's only yours, too. It's almost unique to you.
And I believe it's getting more valuable by the minute. And people are starting to realize, even though they only have 10,000 listeners, but they're super engaged. And that 10,000 engaged listeners is worth a lot of money.
God, you're giving me anxiety.
I agree 100%.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So anyway, guys,
it's a relationship. So if you're going to talk about a product, they're going to be much more interested because you've said it, because you've developed a relationship.
Sure.
Yeah, 100%.
I have to say that, because we're running out of time, but you two are two of my most favorite people we have ever talked to. And we have been doing this a very long time, and I hope that we can continue. I would like to talk to you more regularly.
Maybe you guys could be on their show.
Yeah, who knows? I mean,
no, that's no problem.
Love that. You guys are awesome.
That's no problem. You guys do a great job.
I mean, other than
we'll be your LA correspondents. We'll come on, once a week and.
Well, you're on the side.
If ever there's breaking Kardashian news, we can come on and update.
I love that. What's funny is that you guys are on the down low, super mega famous, both of you. If you look at everything that you've done, it's you're on the sly, on the DL, super moving and shaking, and we're not. So hey, we appreciate it.
You are.
We appreciate.
This is the best show. This is the best podcast we've been on, and we've been going on a ton of podcasts.
Seriously.
Really? Well, thank you.
Seriously, great energy.
Even with me messing up the Zoom camera.
Before we go, I need to ask Sam a question, though.
Sure. Yeah.
How many times in a day does somebody mistake you for Reese Witherspoon?
I've never gotten that one.
Wow.
That's a new one.
Wow. Doesn't she kind of look like Reese Witherspoon?
A little bit.
I think she's prettier.
Yeah.
You know what? You guys are booked every week.
Yeah,
well, hold on. Now, because I'm an old radio guy, I'm going to be get the spoon.
They already had me eat crickets today.
Don't tell them that. They're professionals.
I'm going to prove it to them. Look,
we're going to do a little radio shenanigans.
Yeah.
We can't get it out of Fritz knows.
Yeah,
hazard pay.
Yeah, we ate crickets,
Yeah.
Fritz, Louise, it's been a pleasure talking to you again. The Media Path podcast, find it wherever podcasts are found, and we'll for sure talk to you guys again, okay?
You guys
Thank you
were
so
great.
much.
A lot
We
of
love
fun.
talking with you.
All right,
Thank
take
you.
care, guys. See ya.
Thank you, guys.
Oh my God! Send him away. That was great, right?
Yeah,
They're super. I started looking at their bio in the middle and started digging deeper, and then I started Googling, and then I'm like, how the hell did we? How did that happen?
Also,
We got connections.
Also,
good job, Sam. Nice.
I've never talked to someone that was so convinced and knew someone that Michael Jackson molested and
That made me uncomfortable. They're like, he did it. We saw it. I'm like, whoa, hold on a second.
I mean, I believe him.
Oh my God.
Like whatever.
Well, they mentored that child and they believe that child.
Yeah. So it's that happened for sure. He's a monster. I mean, I'll bet a lot of money on it.
You don't need to go there. You don't need to go there.
Okay.
Here's where I put it.
Dad, who cares?
Exactly. I put it to bed in my mind two ways. With he's dead, who cares? So I did a little bit of that. But then I also did, if they're taking care of the kid and making sure he's good, then you know what? That's all you can do, right?
Yeah.
That's the last part of the story is, as long as somebody's taking care of the kid, you know what I mean? So at the end of that, I was like, that's fine.
Yeah.
But yes, much like you, I was rattled. I'm like, what's happening?
You asked about it.
I know.
Oh my God.
Well, that's what a real radio host does.
Real radio.
And then you do the old. What would you say to someone who says Michael Jackson was
not a
innocent? What would you say to someone who says that? Not me. I'm not saying it. But what would you say to someone who's saying that?
By the way, that's not a ingenious trick, but it's stupid. Anyway,
See what I did there?
Bye-bye.